Hold on. If somebody is treating the victim, they need to be over there.
Under a memorial tent.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me. Dispatch 443, I got the suspect, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right, any weapons on you like that? This is the alleged suspect.
Okay. I am. No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay. We'll be there in a minute.
You already know we are back on Go. Welcome everybody back to Uda on Go. Now today we are reacting to an attorney's breakdown of one of the biggest questions surrounding Karmelo Anthony's case. Did the prosecution actually hide evidence, or is there another explanation for this? All right. So we have Counsel Grey, who lays out a 7-step chart explaining how evidence moves from the moment it exists all the way to what the public eventually sees. Now, we're going to go through it piece by piece, and I'll give you my thoughts along the way. But if you're interested in criminal law, courtroom procedure, or you've just been following this case, then stay with me, because this chart changes how a lot of people think about the evidence now. A lot of people think that there's only two possibilities. Either evidence exists or it doesn't. But the legal system is much more complicated than that. According to this chart, evidence can be filtered out at multiple stages before the public even hears about it, all right? So we're going to get right into it. Salute to everybody. Make sure you're hitting the poll. Make sure you're dropping a like. Subscribe to Uda on Go. Hype this video when it's done. All of those things, all right? And if you want your comments brung on screen, make sure you're super chatting. Salute to all of the love and all the support. Let's get right into Counsel Grey's thoughts on this whole case, and we can see exactly what's going on, all right? So salute to y'all.
The first thing that we need to know is that there's the body of evidence that exists in the world, and then a much smaller subset of that is the evidence that ends up in the case. So the question is, what happens to that big universe of evidence, and how does that big universe of evidence get minimized to the little bit of evidence that shows up in the case? And there are some real answers to this question. Okay. So the first thing is, the entire point of the rules of evidence is to show the trier of fact, right? And that is generally the jury in a jury trial. If it's not a jury trial, then it's the judge, right? So we have rules of evidence that govern the admissibility of evidence, right? And so a huge reason why a large portion of evidence is at the beginning, and then by the time it gets to the jury, there's very little. And I'm going to show you all the ways that happens. But one of them is the rules of evidence, right? And the entire point of the rules of evidence is to show the trier of fact. And that's just a term of art. It means the jury, if there is a jury, to show them only the evidence which is most likely to help them reach the right decision, right? Which is the truth, right? They are supposed to sort through all of the evidence and find the truth and minimize the risk of error, right? So these rules are assembled for that specific purpose. So let me introduce myself. If you guys have not met me before, my name is Grey. This is my channel, Counsel Grey. I am a practicing attorney. And this whole channel is to walk you through the legal aspects of cases that are in the news, but not just the legal aspects, but also the trial strategy that the prosecution or the defense might be using, right? So when prosecution and defense, they look at a particular rule, they are thinking strategically very differently about that rule. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you 7 ways that evidence completely vanishes. Okay, so you're going to be particularly interested in numbers 3 and 5. And I'm going to tell you what each of these steps is, what happens at each of these steps, how defense and prosecution and the court will behave at each of these steps, and you'll see. So I want you guys to be thinking about, if you're one of the many people who thinks that there is missing evidence, whether it's missing footage, whether it's missing fingerprints, whether it's missing, blood on the weapon, blood on Karmelo, whatever it is, right? And a lot of people have a lot of different theories. They want to know, where's this evidence? I'm going to just show you what it is today, and I'm going to let you guys decide for yourselves. Some of these conspiracy theories have been debunked, but people are still holding on to them. And at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen in this. I don't know what's going to happen in this case, because I think that we are about to see some shockers. We are about to see some shockers when this appellate team gets on this case. I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of stuff we will not know until. So here are the 3 records of any case. Okay. There's the transcript of what happened during the trial. There's also the computer docket, which is basically just an electrical, the court clerk will type in important things that happen, like the jury was sworn in today. The defense asked for an extension, right? Those kind of things. And they usually go in just a couple of sentences. And it's really just so that when you go back and look from the court standpoint, you can kind of see what happened. Now, there's a third, much bigger record, and that is the record that the defense counsel is going to get. And what that's going to include is going to be the transcript, the docket. It's going to be some evidentiary files, but it's also going to be a record of all of the motions made and what happened on them, right? You will not see motions made in the transcript, and you will not see motions made in the docket. So there is, you guys keep in mind, there is this other big piece of evidence that we will most likely never see. And that is all the motions, all the filings, the pleadings that have been sent back and forth in the case. Okay. We can try to glean what they were, but we will not see them. Okay. So as I was saying, evidence.
And before we get started, actually, I've been in contact with the people down in Texas, court reporters that was actually on this trial, and they actually hit me back, and no transcripts will be available until after the appellate procedure. After the appellate procedure, then the transcripts will be readily available for everybody. And they told me that I'll have to pay for them when that date comes. They didn't give me a specific because we're still waiting on the appellate court procedure. Just to let you know that if it wasn't for that, I'd have the transcripts already because I spoke with the court reporters already.
Vanishes. And as we go from this big pink circle, right? This is your nested Venn diagram. There's this huge universe of evidence that exists in the world, but there's this tiny little circle of evidence that ends up in the case. And the question is why? And I would say, I didn't put it on here, but there's an even smaller circle within that yellow circle, which is what gets released to the public. So what we're doing is we're looking at what was released to the public. We're trying to put that together with what we heard about the testimony, right? Because remember, the trial was not public, but there were spectators allowed in, and a lot of them took notes, and then it was going out to 25, 30 different channels, right? And so we're trying to put together all of this stuff that happened. There's so much more. Okay, so let's go back and look at the 7 possible ways that evidence vanishes. Okay, and you're gonna like numbers 3 and 5 when I explain what they mean and what a lawyer would do with them. Okay, so let me just say, here's the desired timeline. And you guys, when you look at these types of evidence that I'm about to go into, I want you to be thinking about this. The job of each party is to narrow the focus, this whole long timeline of events from the day that the accused.
The defense worries about from the event and then the past and prior. The prosecution is worried about from the event and forward. That's how that works. It all starts from the event. The prosecution are working from the event forward. The defense is working from the event and past history, going into the history of the Austin brothers. Who are they? Were they good kids? All of those things, that's up to the defense. The prosecution's only trying to prove everything from the event forward would happen. And that's what we're looking at in this diagram.
And the victim were born up until, right, this whole long period of time. Each party wants to narrow the timeline to those issues, to those incidents which most support their case. Okay, so if you look at if you look at the slide that I have up, okay, so the top line, the blue line, is what the prosecutor wants. Okay, the yellow line is what the defense wants. Okay, and that big that big bam in the middle, that's the incident, right? That was the moment that Karmelo did whatever he did, or whoever did whatever they did. That's that moment, okay? So the prosecutor wants you to focus on everything that happened after that, and they want to limit your focus on what led up to that moment. But instead, right, instead of looking at what happened under the tent, how they got to the tent, how they were, you know, the weeks before and the days before, and what their reputations were and what their school habits were, the prosecution, which is that top blue line, they're like, none of that matters. What matters is the moment that Karmelo decided to do what he did and after, right? So when they show him running, right, they spent more time showing him running away from the incident than they did in the incident, right? And the reason that they would do that, and again, I don't know why they do that, but I can tell you why a prosecutor would do that, is because they're trying to show that whatever happened after the event means something. You can read into it guilt or innocence, or you can interpret his words, or, you know, he ran so fast, therefore this or that, right? That's everything after is what that means. That's what the prosecutor wants you to focus on. The defendant, on the other hand, wants you to focus on everything that led up to their client doing what they did, right? The defense is like, wait a minute, this didn't happen in a vacuum. A bunch of stuff led up to this moment. And so what the defense wants you to do is they want you to focus on everything that led up to the event. And so when it comes to the kind of evidence that they're looking at and using, right, the defense is going to want to bring in evidence that shows the past. What led up to this moment that made my client do this? It didn't happen in a vacuum, right? The prosecution in this case is going to say, it doesn't matter what happened before. It doesn't matter if they had a previous relationship. It doesn't matter what their respective, reputations were. All that matters is the moment that this guy decided to delete our, this poor victim, right? So, and I put on there, and sometimes the reverse, right? Because sometimes it's the opposite, right? The prosecution wants to show you everything before the incident, right? And the defense is like, that doesn't matter. Let's focus on, what happened and then what happened after that, right? So let me give you an example of that. The prosecution is trying a guy for sending some woman packing. The prosecution is going to say things like, for 6 months, he stalked her, right? For, 3 months before the incident, he was doing Google searches for. The defense is going to say, well, maybe, but that doesn't mean that on this day that he's the one who sent her packing, right? So they try to narrow people's attention to the time frame that they want. And sometimes there's significance to that, right? Sometimes what happens before or after is significant. So if one of the two parties is successful in getting that part out, then they win. And let me show you how they do it. Okay, and you guys go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, subscribe so that you can leave a comment, because I am going to get to these comments. Like, subscribe, share it out on your timeline, and also send a super chat. I appreciate the support that you guys have given to the channel, right? I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Okay, so as we look at this evidence, I want you to be thinking, which party has the most interest in getting it out, right? So for example, if there was a history, right, a lot of Karmelo supporters say, yes, to the afterlife. A lot of Karmelo supporters say that, this kid had been a bully. He had a history of being a bully. He was a known bully, right? So the defense would be interested in bringing in this evidence, and they would have reasons for it. The prosecution is like, it doesn't matter if he was a bully on this day, right? Okay, so I want you to be thinking that as we go through the rules, okay? So here are the 7 places where evidence moves along the channel. Okay. So the first sort of phase of evidence is all the evidence in the world. Everything that exists that could or could not bear on this case. And then you split that in half and you have everything in the world that could bear on this case. And then you have all the other stuff that's totally irrelevant. Okay. So some portion of that big universe of evidence, some portion of that is going to be received, collected, and processed by the police. So I'm going to walk you through these 7, and then I'm going to show you how evidence gets eliminated, right? How this circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, so the first.
Okay, so let's just break that down a little bit. Stage 1, all the evidence in the world. Did the police ever find anything? Was witnesses staying silent? Did the cameras don't capture every angle? Or some evidence that simply never exists? So just because we don't know something doesn't automatically mean that someone hid it, but sometimes the evidence is never collected in the first place. That's a very big possibility. But these are Brady materials. The prosecution has the constitutional bearing, the right to have to bring this forward, but also the defense are supposed to ask for certain things to make sure that everything is brought into the court. All right. So let's get back to that. Salute to everybody. Make sure you're dropping a like, sharing, and hitting the polls for me. All right. I appreciate that.
Like I said, is all the possible evidence in the world. Some of it pertains to this matter. Some of it does not. So the next phase, which is a narrower phase, that is that portion of evidence which is received by the police, either because someone brought it to the attention of the police, it was collected at the scene and processed by the police, right? You see that as a much smaller set of information, okay? The next thing is the prosecution's entire file, okay? And that is documents, witness testimony, evidence, blood results, blood samples, right? Everything that they've got, video footage, cell phone footage, it's everything that they've got. The next place where that shrinks is what percentage of what the prosecution has do they disclose to the defense? And a lot of people feel like they did not disclose enough to the defense. And I'm going to show you where you might be right, but then I'm going to show you where even if they had disclosed it, that still doesn't mean that it would get to the jury. And even if it did get to the jury, that still doesn't mean it would get to us, the public. Okay. So now the prosecution has disclosed some subset of everything it has to the defense. And I'm going to tell you what it would and would not disclose to the defense. So the next place where it gets a little bit smaller is what percentage of that information that has been shared between the parties gets offered by either side at trial, right? So the prosecution has this big, robust file. They're going to disclose some subset of what they have to the defense. And then the body of evidence gets even smaller because the defense and the prosecutor, they still may or may not offer it at trial. Just because the prosecutor has it doesn't mean they have to use it at trial. Just because the defense has it doesn't mean they have to use it at trial. Okay, so now we've got a much smaller body of evidence of what is offered at trial. And just because it's offered, right, you see this circle keeps getting smaller and smaller. And I'm going to show you why in a minute if you just got here. Just because they offer it at trial does not mean that the jury is going to see it, right? Because what happens there is that the judge can say that this is not going to the jury, right? This is not helpful or useful to the jury, or it will not help them get to more of a right answer. Okay. And then the last thing, even what the jury sees, that.
Thank you, Paula, for the super chat. Thank you. I just think that this is something that we all need to know. Everybody's not legally savvy, but this kinds of breakdowns, what happens to evidence, because we know he's speculating. I think that he got a lackluster defense. Some people saying that they think the defense was in on the whole fix. So when we start to see what happens with evidence and the whole process, now we can start to make better engage in arguments when we're talking online, when we're talking amongst each other, talking amongst our peers. We can make better arguments. So that's why I brought this video specifically from a lawyer for her to break it down for us so that we can all listen to it, you know? Salute to y'all.
Doesn't mean that the public will see that. There still can be another cut before the.
If you're in the other channel, hop on over to Uda On Go on YouTube, OOTAONGO on YouTube right now. We're live over here. I'm going to end it on my other channel. We're going to be live on Uda On Go. Just hop on over, all right, y'all? Salute to everybody. Make sure y'all liking. Make sure y'all subscribing. Make sure you're hitting that poll, though, because I will be changing the poll in a second. Just gauging where your thoughts are at with a few questions, all right? So I just want everybody involved and very interactive in this case. This is a very polarizing case. A lot of us are very emotionally attached to this case. So we just want to get down to what the facts are. Again, I'm still waiting for the transcripts. I spoke to the court reporter, but we're waiting for the appellate court's procedure. And after that, then they would be available, and it will be available for all of us to purchase. And I will be getting them, and I will be letting y'all know as soon as they hit me back to let me know when that process is over. So we're waiting for the appeals court. Salute to Earth, honey. Salute.
Public sees it, and there are various reasons for that. Some of it could be to protect some of the parties. Some of it could be because it pertains to another ongoing matter, right? Okay, so let me go back and walk you through each of these phases and show you how these different baskets, they're really more like a sieve, right? Every time you dump a glut of evidence into one of these 7 places, a little bit seeps out the bottom, right? It's more like a sieve than it is like a bowl. Okay. All right. Okay. So you guys, again, tell me what you think. Tell me what evidence you think is still out there. Tell me who you think hit it or whatever you think happened to it. And let's see at the end, let's see if people are right. I'm going to go through the comments later. Okay. So tell me what you think in the chat, and I'll get back to those in a minute. Okay. So, and you guys, I'm sorry that some of this is small. I hope you guys are watching this on your laptops. Okay. So we started the first phase of evidence, right? Is this big universe of all the possible evidence in the world. Some 99.9999% of it has nothing to do with this particular case, but there is this body of evidence that exists in the world related to this case. How does that go away? The first way that body of evidence that pertains to this case already gets smaller is because it's never found. The police never find it, right? They never find the murder weapon.
Thank you, No More Drama, for your contribution to the channel, and shows me that you appreciate in this live as well. I will be doing more lives for y'all, but I most definitely appreciate that love. So salute to you, Queen. Appreciate that.
Then they never find any fingerprints. They never find a particular witness who may know something, right? Some of this evidence will just never be found, right? The second thing is that it's unknown. Nobody even knows that it exists to go looking for it. So if you don't know that it exists, you can't send somebody out to find it and bring it back. Another way is there's no snitching culture, right? No snitching culture, or people who just don't want to get involved. They don't want it to come back on them, so they say nothing, right? You hear those cases where people came back and they said, 30 years later, yeah, I was there, I saw everything, I was afraid to say anything, right? And they hold these secrets, right? Yeah, it was my girlfriend, it was my boyfriend, he told me if I told that my whole family would be in trouble, etc., right? So, there's this idea that people don't snitch. There's this idea that people don't come forward for their own reasons. And sometimes people are the critical witness and they literally don't tell a single soul for like 30 years, right? So this is how the evidence that exists in the world can just not make it into the process. Like it just never, ever materializes. Okay, so here's the second thing, right? So when we talk about evidence that is actually received and collected and processed, we still lose some of that evidence.
So this is the second section that we're going through, the evidence that's collected by the police. Now, this is where mistakes can happen. Evidence can be misplaced, mislabeled, or never logged correctly. That's different from someone intentionally hiding some evidence, but a lot of people may think that evidence was hidden in Karmelo Anthony's case. I've seen and heard a lot of the speculations, but we have to stress the distinction between negligent and misconduct. Were they being negligent or was it misconduct? I'm gonna leave that up to y'all to decide what you think about that.
Before we get to court, okay? The evidence can be lost, right? You guys, I'm sure, have heard of evidentiary files getting lost, whole boxes getting lost, right? Stuff just gets lost. Sometimes it gets intentionally misplaced. Now, some people may be thinking in both of these cases, in number 1 and number 2, some of you may be thinking that there are witnesses who just are not saying anything, or people are just not saying what they saw. A lot of people think that, right? Some of you may be wondering whether or not they captured the cell phone footage from the students. We don't know, because we don't know where in this process the cell phone footage, if it exists, would have fallen away. The cell phone footage, right? People think that there were so many kids in that tent, and I tend to believe that there were, you know, at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen kids under that tent, and I'm sure someone was on.
Somebody videoed that. We live in a world star world. Everybody's filming everything, to the point it was a meme that went by. A person was under the water with a hand and everybody was filming and talking about world star. Okay. But it's up to the detectives who's investigating the case to go about seeking those phones, right? But you have to get confirmation, you know what I mean, consent from the adults, the parents, of course. But how much, you know what I mean, did they go into getting that evidence, that cell phone footage? You're going to tell me in today's day where everybody's filming nothing, there's no cell phone footage? That's where, to me, I'm just going to leave that be. Let's get back into my homegirl.
On their phone, had a phone, and these kids, their phones come out so fast, right? All we know now is that the cell phone footage is not there, right? It has not materialized to us, the public. It could have fallen out in any of these 7 steps, okay? So when you think about the piece of evidence that you're looking for, ask yourself, where is it most likely to have fallen away? Okay, so in step number 2, stuff gets lost, stuff gets mishandled and therefore is unusable, stuff gets logged by the police. They have technical errors. Sometimes someone forgets to log it home. There are cases where officers take a file home to work on it overnight, and then when they bring it back the next morning, inadvertently something is missing out of the file, right? So then out of this body of information, all of this goes then to the prosecutor's office. Okay, and the prosecutor will have been receiving information from other places, from the school, from different subpoenas that they may have sent out, or requests for information. They may have private investigators, right? We don't know. But what we do know is that the prosecution has this entire file of evidence, regardless of where it came from, most of it from their law enforcement investigators. And then they also have this thing called Kyle evidence, right? Now, Kyle evidence is evidence that is constructively known, and that's kind of a legal standard of knowledge, right? It's constructively known by the prosecutor, right? They may not exactly know it, but they have reason to know that it does exist, right? It's like you should know, or they have reason to know, right? That's what constructive Kyle evidence is, okay? So now the prosecutor has all this information. This is the prosecutor's file. So for those of you who think that the prosecutor is hiding information, this is where it would be happening in step 3, right? Because in order to say that the prosecutor is hiding information, you have to say that they had it and chose to look the other way. If for some reason the police had it and chose to look the other way, the evidence would never have made it past step 2. But if you think that this prosecutor is hiding information, that means that it was handed to the prosecutor, but the prosecutor has somehow misplaced it. If you think that there's some kind of a cover-up or evidence has been destroyed or whatever it is, by the time it gets to the prosecutor, it has already gone through police hands. It has already gone through the police lab. It's already gone through investigations. It's already gone through forensics. It's already gone through a lot of things. So for it to disappear from the prosecutor would mean that more people are in cahoots than just the prosecutor.
Ooh, Seem like a lot of people in cahoots. I don't know what's going on, but this is a very important step. Step 3, all right? It's going into the prosecution's file. Was it withheld Brady materials? No defense request. Did the defense not request the materials? Privilege, the irrelevant evidences, and the judge excludes. They're going to get into that breakdown on section 3. Now, this is probably where the most people immediately jump to accusations, but even here, there are several legal reasons why something might not end up becoming a part of the evidence, but the serious allegations would be intentionally withholding Brady material because prosecutors have a constitutional duty to disclose exculpatory evidences, all right? A lot of times you see people beat charges, come home after years of serving, and this is because, you know what they said, you know what, we ain't gonna submit that because that really doesn't help what we wanna push, right? Then next thing you know, it's discovered. You find all those things after the fact, and that's how come you see some people come home after many years in prison, right? That's where that comes in.
Right? If you really want to make the argument that the prosecutor is hiding knowledge that it has, remember, the police and law enforcement are the investigators. Now, the prosecutor has its own investigators, but the prosecutor only has what the investigators gave them. So for the prosecutor to then say, well, something vanished, law enforcement can easily say, unless they're in cahoots, law enforcement can easily say, nope, we gave that to you. We gave it to you with a chain of custody, right? So they'd have to be in cahoots. So if that's your theory of the case, then stick with it. But realize, and I've said this since the beginning, that it takes more than one person to stage a cover up. And the further you get down this path, right? We're only on number 3, and we already have multiple people that would have to be involved for this to be a prosecutor hiding evidence. Okay. But there are still a lot more places where this thing can disappear. Okay. So now the prosecutor has to decide out of his whole big file, what of this evidence am I going to turn over to the defense? And there's a lot of rules right here. Okay. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, super chat, do all the things. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you think in the comments, because when I finish this, I'm going to get to the comments. Okay. So tell me how you feel.
Same way, like, share, subscribe, hit the poll. Let me know what y'all thinking. Super chat, bring your comments up on screen. Salute to everybody that's here, breaking down this evidence, seeing where the hell everything went, or did it disappear at all? So we can actually get to see if the fix was in. And this is what his new team, the appellate attorney, Russell Wilson II, Gary Bledsoe, and Brooke Clues are coming in to handle for Karmelo. They're taking the case pro bono, so he actually has some help, and maybe this is his best shot at anything he ever had, even better than his own trial.
Okay, so here's a lot. This is number 3 is the biggest one, okay? So this bottom row, just so you're clear, is what could possibly leak out at this phase. Okay, so at the top, we're in phase number 3, and that's where the prosecution has this big file of evidence that they've received and collected from the police, the evidence lab, blood work, fingerprints, etc. All of this is turned over to the prosecutor. Now the prosecutor has to decide what to do with it. He decided to file charges, and here we are. So the next step would be, what percentage of that gets disclosed to the defense? And here's the answer. The prosecutor does not turn over, or let me say this. This is a better way to say it. If the body of evidence that the defense receives from the prosecution is smaller than what the prosecutor has, here's why. 1, the prosecution withheld Brady items. Now, Brady items are, and I think I did a community post about this if you want to know what it is. Brady, US v. Brady, it's a Maryland case from the 60s. And basically it says that a prosecutor must turn over any evidence that is exculpatory to the defense, right? Meaning that it tends to show that the defense is innocent, or at least needs to be investigated for such, or that impeaches a prosecution witness. Any of that kind of evidence must be turned over by the prosecutor to the defense without asking, and there's no limit on the time. whenever the prosecutor gets it. If it's early in the process, after the process, during the trial, after the trial, that evidence must be turned over to the defense. So this is what people think. People think that he did not turn over this evidence to the defense, okay? And that is possible. Now, how do we see this in real life? Okay, these are these old cases that you hear about that get overturned after like 30 years when it comes out that the prosecutor knew that the witness had recanted their story and said they only told the story so they could get some drugs, or they only said that this guy did it because someone else threatened their wife and kids or something like that, right? That's the right. So what the prosecutor will then do is say, no, man, we got this. Like we're too close to this thing. And they'll say they don't believe that person, right? Or something like the eyewitness had originally identified somebody else, right? You need to tell the defense that the accused was actually the second or third person that this eyewitness identified, right? She was so sure that it was this person, or he was so sure that it was that person before settling on your client, right? So when we hear these miscarriages of justice, right, these travesties, it always comes out that the prosecutor had some little piece of information that they didn't turn over, and 30 years later they're going to deny that they had it, or they're going to say that they did turn it over, that it was in the file, etc., blah blah blah, right? But that is Brady evidence that's not turned over. Okay, so let me put that back in context. Out of this big body of evidence that the prosecution has, one reason that what the defense gets is smaller is because the prosecution does not turn over Brady material. That is a violation. That is a constitutional due process violation of the accused. Okay, that is a major. First of all, it's grounds for a retrial fast. Okay, all right. So the second reason is that. And this is a strategy play. This is a faux pas on the part of the defense. Number two, the defense did not request the information, right? So if you've ever read a discovery request, that means that the defense literally did not think to make a discovery request. Now, discovery is governed by a whole different set of rules. But if your defense counsel is sleeping and they don't think to ask for something, the prosecution may just not turn it over. They may say, well, you didn't ask for it. You didn't have a comment in the right place. You didn't put a catch-all on the end of it, right? So these are the kind of things that like the defense will ask for. And this is true in civil and criminal, right? They'll ask for anything related to this, including but not limited to this. And then they'll put on the end and anything that we forgot to ask for, or anything relevant to this matter, or anything similar, etc. Right? If defense counsel is sleeping and they forget to ask something, and the prosecution recognizes that, they're not going to hand it over unless it's mandatory Brady. But if they're in the business of holding Brady information anyway, they're just going to hold it. Okay.
Okay. Do you think the defense asked for everything, all the evidences? Do you think so? Exculpatory evidence. Did you think so? Okay. Things that show Karmelo in any light, innocent, anything else. Do you think the defense went for this evidence, rigorously went for this evidence? Do you believe that? With that lackluster defense that he got? I don't know. They called a couple of witnesses. One of the witnesses said, we believe Karmelo's in the wrong. I said, what? What type of defense is that? They might as well got Mr. Miyagi to go like this in the court. They might as well have got Mr. Miyagi, homie. He could have defended them better like this. And he an old man. In the first movie, he was old. He could have did a better job than that defense. I'm sorry. That's just what I'm thinking.
The next thing is, and these are litigated by the judge even here, okay? The prosecution will not turn over any evidence that it believes to be privileged, that it believes have no bearing on the case. So the prosecution may say, hey, we came across this information while researching Karmelo's case, but this is privileged information, so we're not going to turn it over. Or this information has no bearing on the case, so we're not going to turn it over. Well, the defense may feel differently if they saw it, right? So sometimes number 5 here is that the judge will exclude it, right? So if the parties cannot agree on whether or not this piece of evidence is something that the prosecution should hand over to the defense, they will go before the judge and let the judge decide. Okay. And then the judge will decide based on what I said before, is this likely to help the jury find the right answer? And the judge will weigh it back and forth. Should I have the prosecution turn this over? Or should I just say that the prosecution does not have to hand this over to the defense? Now, some people are saying that the defense requested, and we won't know this because we don't have access to the motions. Some people are saying that the defense requested access to Austin and Hunter's background, right? Any fights they had in school, any accusations in school, etc. And the question is whether or not that information was ever turned over to the prosecution's office. Now, some people...
Stop there for a second. We just heard Megan Metcalf come out and speak about a situation when Hunter and Austin was having a situation with the cheerleaders, right? The cheerleaders that cheer for his exact team. They said, yo, this team is shite. This is trash. They own team that they cheer for, Hunter's team. And she said, you know, Hunter's a little more, maybe Austin to be a little more cooler, but Hunter goes a little bit more aggressive. It was a verbal altercation, a big thing that happened with the cheerleaders, which is showing an aggressive nature. They never went into none of these things. They never brought up nothing to see the mindset of these brothers. We just know everything about Karmelo, allegedly, but we never knew what's going on with the other brothers. Why not? Why did the prosecution maybe not want to go into the brothers' lifestyle and who they were mentally? Why not? Because maybe when you looked at Karmelo's background, it was spot clean, and he was 3.7 GPAs, team captains, all type of stuff. Do they win that argument? Probably not. This is why the prosecution may want to withhold some of that type of evidence and maybe not want to go into that. Some people say, why wasn't Hunter called? Think about that for yourself. Maybe that's part of the reason, because when you weigh both people up and see people's backgrounds, doesn't matter where you're from, what you know, when you look at both of their backgrounds, Karmelo was clean, bro. He was spot clean, bro. They hit him with everything that happened at the trial. At the spot of the incident, and that's it. Anything else he would have done would have been brought up. If Karmelo was this King Von, like Angry Man want to say, or whoever want to say, they would have brought that up. You don't think they would have brought that up? They would have brought those things up. Karmelo wasn't that kind of a kid. I think they both were children. They both were young kids, man. And this is what happened. It just all went wrong. It all went wrong, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that Austin should be unalived right now. And I don't think that Karmelo should be doing 35 years right now. Point blank, period. They both are young kids. They both the same age as my son. My son is 18, about to be 19 years old. Karmelo's a little older. He's 19. Austin's going to be 19 if he would have got a chance to be. But you know what I mean? Come on, bro. These were kids, man. These were kids. And what happened was a tragedy. What happened on both sides was a tragedy. Period, point blank.
Are under the belief that some people are, oh, thank you. You're doing a great job, Counsel Grey. Thank you. Some people are under the impression that the school district did not have to turn over the school records of the boys.
They don't really have to.
This is.
It depends if it's federal, the school is funded by the feds, then they don't have to turn into some things. Okay. That was some of the things when they was going to the records, the suspensions, and anything like that it was leading to. They were saying, even the Metcalf father was saying that they was holding on to certain evidences, and then they let the defense or some people that was rocking with the defense see certain evidence. And this is what Metcalf was beefing with, Jeff Metcalf. When he did his little interview, he was talking about some of that stuff right there. How the school was holding on to certain evidence, but then they let the evidence out to some people that was supporting Karmelo, and he began to curse those kinds of people to say what the hell they looking for. And he began to curse the people at the school when he was sitting at the couch drinking beers or cervezas, allegedly. You know you was drinking that day, Jeff. I ain't mad. You took a drink, take your drink, but you know you was sipping that day you was talking.
Not necessarily true, right? So some people think that this is FERPA protected information, and we did see some wrangling back and forth about FERPA in the trial docket when we went through there. But here's the thing. In 30 seconds, basically what FERPA is it says that any school that's federally funded, right? This is a federal statute, and it basically says any school that receives federal funding, right? So what that does is it eliminates certain private schools, certain Catholic schools, things like that, right? If we're not paying for anything that you do at your school, we can't have jurisdiction over you, right? But if you do receive money from the federal government, which most public schools in America do, then this rule applies to you. And it basically says that a school cannot turn over certain student records to a third party without the family's consent, etc. But there is a carve out which says that they can and they have to in response to a duly ordered court subpoena. Okay. So we don't know, right? So what we saw in the docket, for those of you that watched the docket video, if you didn't watch the docket, go back and watch that docket video, because I walk through the...
I will be doing a review of that docket video, maybe if not later on today, first thing tomorrow. I might even do it in the morning. Make sure you're all subscribed, because we're going to break it down. And I'm going to see if I can bring Counsel Grey as well as some other attorneys on the channel. I want to talk to straight attorneys. Not nobody that's bumping their gums. Everybody talking. The hell? We know certain legal things. I'll be in courtrooms, so I may know some, but we want attorneys to talk to us. That's how we get to the facts, bro. That's who I like talking to. People that's in that court every day and know how this thing play. Point blank, period. That's who I want to talk to. I could have everybody on my channel if I want. I want to talk to attorneys who can actually break this down for us and get our minds on go. That's what it's all about. When we begin to start understanding the law, understanding the procedures, now we can start to make the right argument, be it online or be it with our peers or be it in the world. We can start to make the correct arguments and not just go off emotions and what we thinking in our head. Because we can all do that till the sun turn blue. It don't matter. When we start to understand what's happening, then we understand what we're looking for. Point blank, period.
Whole entire docket. We see all the subpoenas that were made by both sides. Go back, okay?
And my girl.
So what we don't know...
I'm gonna holler at Pam too. That's my girl. That's my sis. You know, they all know me from the Diddy trial, man. Everybody know me from that trial, bro. So I'm hollering, chill. I already got some upcoming conversations that we gonna have right here on Go. I've been chilling for a minute, but God's sending me on Go. I gotta get back on Go. So we gonna be on Go.
At this point, right, the appellate counsel will know, but we don't know because this has not been released to the public. As far as I know, it's just rumor, okay? When there is a court order, the rules of having to get family permission are relaxed and things like that. So we don't know whether or not the school turned over the records, and the prosecution may have turned them over to the defense or not. All we know is that or all we believe is that they never went into the evidence. Okay, so we don't know the status of those school records. Now, here's the thing. Remember when I said, let me back up. Remember when I said, and I'm just going to back up for a minute here. Remember when I said about this timeline? In this particular case, the prosecution wants to start at the moment of the incident and look forward. The defense wants to start at the moment of the incident and look backwards. So which one of them do you think would be most interested in any records of the twins' bad behavior and reports at school and things like that? Obviously, it would be the defense. The defense would want to go back and look and say, are these kids who have a history of bullying? Are these kids who fight a lot? And they also would want to say, while looking back, oh, and by the way, look at Karmelo. That boy's clean as a whistle.
Did y'all ever hear? I gotta go and get it for y'all. The cheerleaders email talking about the brother saying, I'm scared. Don't tell them it's me. I don't want to say my name, but listen, they started blowing up on me and all type. Girls, cheerleaders, scared for their life for the brother. Scared. Like, yo, don't tell them. I'm scared something gonna happen to me if you tell them that I'm telling y'all about the altercation that we're having with the brothers. Cheerleading girls. What happened to none of that? Y'all didn't bring up none of that. Y'all don't care about that. You got to bring up people's characters, who people are. Even the brother Hunter, you know what I'm saying? It's not about smudging Austin and putting them down. He's already unalived. You know what I mean? RIP to him. But we got to get into people's mindsets to understand who people are, and that could understand why situations accelerate the way they accelerate. Point blank, period. Go into the history. What happens at home? Who are you at home? All of those types of things. I think Karmelo should have maybe possibly testified for himself. That prosecution was cooking, though. He would have jammed him up on a lot of things. He was really good, the prosecutor. But Who else could speak Karmelo's story but him? Everybody online saying he got jumped, he was this, he was surrounded, all of these things, fight or flight. Maybe he was, a victim of some racism, and maybe that's why he had to think it didn't have nothing to do with the trap meet. But we will never know that because Karmelo never testified. I went into other cases, I went to a case-by-case comparison on other cases where people unalive people that were tried in Collin County Court as well as surrounding counties in Texas. You know what? You know how much people? They ain't black, but you know how much people? 10 years probation. People got probation. Some people didn't get no jail time at all. It was crazy as hell to me. Do you hear me? But one thing that a couple of those cases had, underlying fact, was that they testified in their case. Said, Joe, I know, listen, they got to speak for themselves and put the jury in your mind to say, nah, bro, I'm defending myself. One woman, her name was Morgan Sims, and a man named was DeRay Sims, Deray Sims. You could Google the case. She unalived her husband in the bathroom. You heard me? Unalived him, hit him with the strap. Boom. After she hit him with the strap, look, she bounced and fled the crib, right? She had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old children in the house. She left them in the house with the body, right? She says, look, she blamed the trigger pull on the children. 2 and 6 years old, can't even probably lift up a goddamn book talking about they pulled the trigger. You hear me? The prosecution went for 20-something years. She went up and spoke and said, listen, it was years of abuse I went through. She brought up photos, whatever documentation. She said she was actually in the shower. Okay? He was black, she was white. She said she was in the shower, right? And then he came and hit her. She fled, got the strap, and hit him with the strap. And he died right there on the bathroom floor. See what I'm saying? But she went and spoke her own thing. It's reasonable doubt. Or maybe reasonable, because you're white. Maybe reasonable doubts, because you're not black. I don't know what's going on, brother. It's Texas. My cousin got 15 years in Texas, and they got every bit of that time up out his ass. And it was gracious as hell in that jail. So Karmelo is in for a fight in that place, okay? The sad thing about it is he may have to do that thing again, even if he wasn't a person that was an unaliver. He might have to do that again. It's alleged that he already has made a complaint of sexual harassment by an inmate already. We don't know the color of the inmate, okay? Is it a black inmate that's doing this? People already is actually harassing him already. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? This is real deal, bro. Man got actually harassed already. He ain't been in jail for how many days? He's already getting actually harassed, okay? People are trying to do things to him, okay? But one thing he got to be in fear for is those guards. Whether you want to think that the system and many people speaking out to say many people ain't going to be able to do nothing to Karmelo, black people supposedly, allegedly, but those guards, those prison guards, come on, bro. People want to enact their own justice on you. 35 years ain't enough. People are sending some big skinhead people like this that's down with the other side of the world to come and get at you, put you in the showers. They come in there, come fight you, come do things to you. This is prison. This ain't your backyard. This ain't your living room. It's hell in there. You hear me? It's hell in there, man. And I feel for Karmelo, man. Honestly to God, I feel for Karmelo, bro. Trust me. The stories I heard from my cousin about Texas prison and what he went through. And my cousin's a straight unaliver. Straight. Ain't no joking about it. He do it. He wild as hell. My older cousin. Straight. My older cousin. He wild. Since the 80s, he was wilding in them days. The stories he told me of how they treat you, how they beat you, how those guards lock you up, put you in the hole, put feces in your food, all the stories that he told me of what happens to you in them prisons in Texas. He's in for an uphill battle, bro. It's not even a joke. I'm not making no joke about that. And young people need to hear some of these things too, to understand we outside running around doing things, trouble and all of that. Stay in school, do the right things. Look at Karmelo and look at Austin. They was in school and this happened. We got to keep our heads on and do what we need to do and try to sometimes avoid situations like this. We have to try to avoid it, man, because it's a loss on both sides. Austin lost his life. Karmelo lost his freedom. And his sentence is 35 years. People saying he'd be home in 17 and a half years. People don't know nothing about jail, bro. He may never come home. He probably might not make it alive. You crazy? You crazy. I know people that went to jail for 1 year. They end up doing 20 years in jail. I had one friend that went to jail, son. Next couple of years, he unalived somebody. He was at 18 years old. He went in the mountains with the big boys, the lifers. Yo, you know what? A couple of years later, you know what I was told about him? He was somebody's girlfriend. He was dressed like a woman. My homeboy, bro. Dressed like a woman was somebody's girlfriend in a jail, bro. It's not even a joke. He done succumbed to the all the abuse that he done been abused, bro. He started dressing like a woman, bro. Do you hear me? It's not a joke, man. We got to speak it just like that so young people understand what the hell is going on out here. We think we running around with straps, we running around with weapons, think you just want to go on a drill and all that. When you get in them buildings, you see a big dude like, I want that cornbread. One of them dudes like that been serving 40 years already, ain't seen a woman in 10,000 years. It's real, man. It's a real deal.
Right? He's the captain of this. He's the captain of that. He's got scholarships. He's already been accepted to this and already into that, right? He's got scholarships here. He's got this GPA. So they want to see both kids' records. So they can show that their kid is the angel and the other two kids are the villains. The prosecutor doesn't want to go back. Right? So the prosecutor is not going to really fight hard for these FERPA records because he doesn't want them. They don't help his case. All they do is they show that his victim may have, depending on what they said, right, may have had anger management issues, and they would show that the accused was a good kid. So the prosecutor's not going to fight for these FERPA records, okay? But again, we don't know whether or not anybody ever got the FERPA records, right? All I'm saying is that
who was Austin and Hunter? That's the question that we all must ask ourselves, okay? We understand what Karmelo did. We're not saying he all the way innocent. He did what he had to do. He did whatever he thought he had to do, right? But if Karmelo was all of the things that people are saying that he is, why didn't they bring those things up? They would have cooked him. They would have said this. Anything that happened to any one of us on the news, they start going into your background. You know, he stole a candy from the grocery store when he was like 16. They start bringing up your life. They didn't even bring up nothing about Karmelo. Because Karmelo wasn't about that life. He wasn't about that life. So when Angry Man gonna tell me he was like a King Von, shut up. You know who King Von is? Shut up. Obviously, Angry Man never been in the streets, but he acting like he been. Shut up. He's the happy man. He's not like a King Von, bro. He's a good kid, bro. It went wrong, bro. Everything just went tragically wrong on both sides. That's it, bro. That's all. That's what we got to see it. And I don't know if his defense did enough to humanize him, to make people understand that he was a child when this all happened, bro. You looking at him like a grown man, bro. He was a child when it happened. Austin was a child when it happened. They were both children, man. They were both children, bro. And none of it should have happened. An adult should have been called. Staff members should have been called. Karmelo Anthony's coaches didn't even bring his own tent by their own testimony, talking about they didn't have the manpower to put up the tent. But when I brought up the messages from the prosecutors, it shows that the coach, whether Bass or Coach Stark on Austin's team, sent a message saying, you and his homeboy Rhett, y'all get the tents and put up the tents. They put that burden on Austin and them to put up the tent. So they went to secure their team's tent, even if the prosecution want to say that each is a locker room. This part to blame on Karmelo coaches. They ain't doing anything. What they did. Where was y'all? Come on, y'all leaving kids to be kids. No, man, that's why kids need chaperones. Kids need to be watched. Period. If you got children, you know that you can't leave them to their own devices. We grown-ass people. I'm a grown-ass man. And sometimes I can't even be left to my own devices. And I talk to God every day. Say, God, do not leave me for a moment by myself. Do you hear me? And we grown. But we're putting the weight of the world on our children. Sad, man.
All I'm saying is that it is not, there's a lot of people saying that there's no way for them to get these FERPA records because the school does not have to release them. The school absolutely has exceptions for when they have to release these records. Okay. All right. I can't remember where I was, but anyway, so at this point, so if the prosecution and the defense can agree in moving from 3 to 4, if they can't agree what evidence should flow, then number 5 right here says that the judge would decide, and whatever the judge decides to exclude, the prosecution does not have to hand over to the defense. Okay. So now we've got this really small body of evidence, right? Which is the prosecutor's big whole huge file. And now it's been reduced down to whatever he disclosed to the defense. Now, again, if the defense forgets to ask for something in discovery, if it's not Brady information, the prosecution does not have to volunteer it. Right? They don't have to turn over everything. They just have to turn over Brady material and whatever the defense asked for in discovery, as long as the judge didn't overrule the request. Okay, so now the defense has a smaller set. Okay.
Yes, Bill. His mother was the only one that was called. She was called right before the sentencing. Both sides get a chance to call witnesses. They called her. She spoke to Karmelo being her oldest son. She spoke to him being remorseful for everything that he did. We see him being remorseful during some of that footage that we seen as well. So we didn't have to wait for his mother to tell us. We seen it. Even when he was talking to the coach, when he got walked back after he ran and he walked back, you see him have a reaction, and you see that. You see him ask the cops. We see him do all of that. Is he going to be okay? Okay. People that is cold-blooded murderers ain't asking that question. They don't care about that, bro. But people trying to make him out to be some cold-blooded murderer. And I don't see him that way. And some people say, I've seen people that never did nothing, they turn like that. Me too. I've seen people that turn it too. I come from Uda Block. I get it, sir. I don't know where y'all from. But at the end of the day, I don't know. It's just something in my spirit that doesn't believe that Karmelo was like that. And if he was really like that, the prosecution would have drove that home. They would have brought that up to say, he is a nuisance. He's a bad kid, and he is one of them. And we should expect this from him. They didn't do that. They proved everything from the incident forward. They didn't go back into Karmelo's history because Karmelo's history was clean. And if you went back into the brother's history, you would have probably seen the things that you think they were hiding. That's a fact. And that's why they didn't want to get into the brother's history. That's just true. Straight up.
From that, how it gets even smaller is that just because the defense and the prosecution have it does not mean that they have to try to use it in court. They may decide that out of, these 100 pieces of evidence that we've got, we only really want to use 30 of them. So now that 100 pieces of evidence has now shrunk down to the 30 that they want to use in court. Okay. So here's what happens once the defense and the prosecution attempt to use this information at trial. And that can happen before trial, in the lead up to trial, right? So before trial, there's a lot of motions back and forth between the parties, which again, only the appellate record will have. We don't have, that has not been released to the public, okay? At this point,
motions or the lack thereof seemed like they wasn't pushing for certain motions, and I think they kind of hurt Karmelo on appeal or new trial ends. I think they kind of hurt him because everything has to be brought up on the record. Everything got to be brought before the judge. You have to object, whether he sustains or overrules it. Okay, this is how you can say if there's an error in procedure, and this is how you get to call out some of those things. People that was in the trial, I had Meek there, Mel watching the world there, Queen Sheba. It's all my people that was from the trial, from Diddy trial. I was talking to people like this on the phone all the time. Boom. Other people I knew that was at that trial. So I wasn't even watching news. I was getting it straight from people lens, period. Straight from my people that was in there taking notes. Because we can't believe everything the legacy media says, man. Straight. I was at the Diddy trial. They were talking about all type of stuff that wasn't even in there. I'm like, what's that? I didn't take those notes. I didn't even see that. So it just goes to show you that's maybe a part of the reason why they didn't want certain content creators, certain independent journalists in there. They only made 9 slots for legacy media. You had to get there from the crack of dawn when the roosters was crowing, 4:30 in the morning. It's dark in a Scrace's town. You had to get out there early just to even get a chance to get up in that courtroom. It's real, son. It's real. I was on the phone talking to people, Nick and I, all of them like this. You're like, yo, I'm going out this 4 o'clock. I'm like, yo, what? Yo, listen, I put the bid in. I had my ticket for the trial. I had my ticket to go there. My plane ticket. Straight. Had to take care of business, but yo, I wish I was there. Straight. I wish I was there, man. Wish I was there, son. For some of them Scraces too. I wish I was there, son. Straight.
There's a lot of back and forth between the parties and the judge to say what actually goes in front of the jury. Okay. So for example, the prosecution will say, we want to use these pieces of evidence in the trial. The defense may say, okay, we agree. Or the defense may say, no, we protest, or we don't want that. We don't believe that evidence is admissible for this reason. And the prosecution and the defense will argue, and then the judge will decide what evidence can be used in trial, and vice versa. Sometimes the defense will want to use a piece of evidence that they have, and the prosecution will argue, no, here's why we don't think it should be admissible. They do a little trial back and forth, and then the judge decides. So a lot of things that people think that the defense counsel did not use, they may just have not been admitted. The judge may have said, this is not admissible. And why would the judge say that? Because the judge believes that it's not going to help the jury come to the right conclusion. Now, I don't have to say anything.
Nasty work. Judges are gatekeepers as well. Hearsay, relevance. These are some of the reasons why it may be kicked, inadmissible. Prejudice, right? Or constitutional issues. That's some of them. So sometimes people think that the evidence was hidden, when in reality, the judge could have ruled it inadmissible. Did that happen? Did Judge Roach rule some of this evidence inadmissible? We will find out all of these things on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Yes, we will.
Other than that, because you can see the problems inherent in that. Some people would say, let the jury see everything and trust the jury to sort through it and figure it out. Like, judge, we don't need judicial intervention. And a lot of judges are more liberal and a lot of judges are more conservative, right? Some judges will say, I'd rather send it all to the jury and let them figure it out. Other judges will block it before it ever even gets to they'll say, no, that's going to confuse them. That's more, here's a sort of classic evidentiary rule. I'm not going to admit that because it's more prejudicial than probative. Meaning, to introduce this, while it may be relevant, it might actually be relevant, but it will be more.
Salute to my guy Phil, supporting the channel. Hit me with the super chat. Uda, keep working, my friend, and God bless. One of my biggest supporters of my old channel. I'm black, Phil's white. So this ain't a black and white thing. Uda not a racist. I believe in good people, point blank, period. So some people's racist, I'm not. But I don't like racist people. I don't like them. I don't like bullies, and I don't like racist people. Okay? I don't like them both. That's just me, from me to God to you. Straight up, I don't. Okay? Shout out to my guy Phil. Hear what I said? So it ain't about all of that. See what I'm saying? But there was something that happened in this Karmelo trial. Something bad happened. And until we get to the motions, until we get to everything, hopefully the appellate procedure hurries up fast. I spoke with the court reporter, and we waiting for the appellate procedure. Then the transcript will be available. And they said, she told me exactly they'll be available to purchase, and I'm purchasing them. I don't care how much they cost. Okay? It could have called an arm, leg, and an arm. I don't care. I'm purchasing them. Point blank, period. All right? Period. Make sure y'all super chatting too. And come lean on that and come help Uda with some of that. Whatever they say, I'm buying them straight. I ain't buying no damn Jordans, what I look like. I'm buying that. I'm buying that paperwork so we can get through what happened. We even had arguments. Who came first? Karmelo, 954. So one person arrived at 956. Who came first? The brothers? We arguing about who came first. There's a discrepancy online right now. The transcript could close all of that out. We could start to get to the testimony. Now we can see the testimony, and we can see the first statements that happened first, and we can see if there's some in between the witnesses' testimonies. We can start to see some of that. We can compare and contrast. Until we get the transcript, we'll never know what we need to know. We just debating online for no reason until we get the transcripts, man. We all emotional, and we all emotionally involved in this. Hey, Joy, that's what it is, man. Tell you the truth.
More harmful to one of the parties than it is helpful to the final decision making. Okay, so this is where a lot of otherwise relevant information falls away. Or the judge may say that it's not relevant, right? Or the judge could say, yes, I agree that this is relevant, but it's more prejudicial to one of the parties than it is probative to the process. So between step 3, where the prosecutor decides what to hand to the defendant, and then step 5, when the judge decides what information goes in front of the jury. Those are two big areas, right? So judges have viewpoints, right? They have points of view. They are elected officials. They are elected by party, right? So in not all places, right? In some places they're appointed, right? But they have a point of view, right? Some of them are tough on crime. Some of them believe in a lot of judicial interference. Some of them believe in judicial hands-off, right? Again, a judge who's very hands-off is going to say, I err on the side of showing it to the jury and letting them decide. Someone who is less permissive and more conservative might say, no, I'll decide right here, right? I'll intervene and I'll weigh in on what I believe. Okay, so a lot of information can get blocked at that point, right? And again, I want you guys thinking about the evidence that you're looking for, the evidence that you think got missed. Where in these 7 steps, where in these 7 steps do you think this information fell away? Hang on one sec. All right, you guys. So I just when you guys are going back and forth about what you think, what you heard, a lot of these rumors are nothing but rumors, okay? And I can tell you every single thing that people are saying, it is hearsay. And that's maybe what makes it so interesting. Maybe that's what's keeping this thing alive, you guys, but it is hearsay. It is third and fourth hand information. Unless you yourself read the transcript, and right? You cannot say what was said in testimony. All you can say is what you heard some trial watcher say. And half of them, and I watched a number of them, half of them were stressed out and fumbling over their words, right? These are not court reporters. They are not stenographers. They are not little old ladies who remember shorthand from the 40s. So there's a lot of, oh, well, it was testified to on the stand. Well, right? Nobody knows what was testified to on the stand until we see that transcript. Until we see the transcript. So you guys can go back and forth trying to prove all your points based on that, but and if you believe it, right, if you heard it from a trial watcher that you believe and you think you've heard it in multiple places from multiple, that's fine. But you have to also acknowledge that you are spewing second, third, fourth hand information at this point. And not act like it's fact, like you heard it from the horse's mouth, because you didn't, unless you were in that room, unless you are one of the trial watchers, unless you are the stenographer. Unless you are the stenographer, and even stenographers make mistakes. There are some big cases involving stenographers who omitted one word, who left out a comma and totally changed what the transcript meant. Okay, so anyway, everybody's like swearing that their version is facts. Okay, all right. So moving right along. Oh. And on that, you guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave me a super chat, especially if you want me to read your question. And we are moving in on 2,000 subscribers. I can't even believe that, you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. All right. So the next thing is, now the jury sees it. The transcripts are not released yet. Now the jury sees it. Even the evidence that the jury saw, okay, is different from what the public sees. The reason is because, one, the jury may have seen physical things that cannot be released to the public. Meaning, in the courtroom, the jurors may, for example, have seen the sweatshirt. It may have been out on the table. But when that evidence is released to the public, it's a picture. Right? I've heard, and I don't know, we'll know when the transcript comes out, but I've heard that people were interacting with the video with a pointer saying that this is what this person did, this is what happened here, this, right? We don't see that as the public. So it could be that the judge seals it, right? Let's say that the jury was shown some sensitive information, or was in fact shown the FERPA information, the files. the judge is not going to release those files to the public. Okay, so stuff falls out even there. Okay, so the last thing is that what the public sees is also edited by the news media, by the trial watchers, by YouTubers, by, social media posts and all that kind of stuff. So these are all the places where this evidence vanishes, right? What may have started out as like 4,000 pieces of evidence, by the time it's released to the public in that little file, it's what? 6 little things, a couple PDFs of images, 10 video clips, right? So we don't know. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Nova the Great. Love that. Nova the Great. Are we to believe all of the witnesses lied on the stand? So I will tell you this. No, I don't think they all lied on the stand. I will say that I do anticipate and have heard from people who were there. I don't know, again, because any aspect of the testimony is second or third hand. I do have reason to believe, just based on my experience, that there probably was a lot of conflicting information in the witness testimony. So do I think they all lied? No. Do I think they all observed different things? Probably. Now, listen. Juries and courts give a lot of leeway when they're talking to witnesses who observed something significant that happened very quickly, right? They may not be lying. They could just be wrong and be telling the truth. And the way that happens is, right, you'll hear of a case where there was a violent crime that happened in the middle of a shopping mall. And when you talk to the people who were there and they're actually trying to be helpful, one of them will say, oh, he was wearing a red sweater. Someone else will say, oh, he was wearing a purple sweatsuit. Someone else will say, oh, the weapon was black. Someone else will say, oh, the weapon was silver, right? And they're all telling the truth. So I don't know what to make of it. I will say this, Nova the Great. I will say that I do believe that the peer pressure, if not affirmative pressure from Mr. Metcalf, and based on how I've seen him behave, I would not put it past him. But I don't know. But even if you take that out, the pressure that these kids must feel to be loyal to their school, to their team, to the big football captains is immense. So I believe they certainly had an incentive to lie. The third thing I'll say about that, Nova the Great, is that I do believe that when people start talking about their stories, their recollections start fading together. I always tell this story about my best friend and I. We've been best friends for so long that sometimes when we remember stories, we honestly cannot remember, did that happen to you or did that happen to me? Which one of us dated that jerk when we were in high school? Wait, did your mom say that or was that my mom? We literally cannot remember. Like, we have been sharing each other's lives for so long. We have been sharing each other's lives for so long that our stories are all the same story. Right? And that's the third thing I will say. That absolutely does happen. Okay. Thank you for the question, Nova the Great. Okay. I see another super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Soldier for God. Amen. Amen. $5. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat. Oh, another one from Nova the Great. Thank you. I just subscribed to you. You sound non-biased. So I appreciate that. And I will say this because I do try to be non-biased. I do want you guys to find your own opinion. So I tell you what the rule is, what the law is, what the strategies might be. Now, I have my own opinions about what happened. My personal opinion is that a lot of this looks rushed. It looks sloppy. Things look like they are missing. They may or may not be. But if the trial were open and public, like this, all this arguing that people are doing back and forth in the chat, what did the witnesses say? Was the knife in court? We don't know. People are saying this. All of that would be eliminated if it were televised, right? Just like the Kyle Rittenhouse case. You may not like how it went, But we don't have to argue about who said what on the stand, who did what, right? So, and even the judge has said that he may have erred in not allowing it. He may have made a mistake in not allowing the trial to be public. People feel that it was very rushed in terms of how it went from opening arguments to closing arguments to the verdict, to the conviction and the sentence, to him being in jail in the course of like 24 hours. So I do try to be biased. I mean, I do try to be unbiased, but I do have my own views. But I also see that there are some. If you guys haven't watched it, and people didn't love this video, but this was a good video. If you guys have not watched my video about how to pick a good lawyer, one of the things that I said was that you need a lawyer who can point out to you the strengths of the other side's argument, their strengths and weaknesses, and your strengths and weaknesses, right? If you go to a lawyer and that lawyer is just like, oh, I do these cases all the time, this is going to be easy, this is a walk in the park, they set you up, they're trying to take you down, another black man, right? Whatever it is, you need to run. You need to turn around, put your hat on, and run, because they're not telling you what you're really up against. And then you walk out of there with 35 years and you're like, wait, what happened? What just happened, right? Okay. Let me talk about these videos. This footage. And I'm going to leave up here the 7 things that you're looking at. You guys tell me, just by typing in a number, where do you think the footage, the real true footage, fell out? Do you think that it was in fact collected by the law enforcement and they cut it? Do you think the prosecutor had the full file and just only disclosed a little bit? Do you think it wasn't all admitted into trial, right? If they had admitted, it's possible, right, that this judge, and I don't know, it's possible that this judge said, I'm not going to have this jury sitting and watching 12 hours of footage, right? And if they showed every camera angle, the same 20 minutes from every single camera angle, that might have been 12 hours worth of footage. And the judge may have said, we're already on an expedited schedule. You need to get that video down to the relevant time points. We don't know. The judge may have said that. Maybe the prosecutor didn't. I don't know. Okay. Also, it is possible, even though this is not quite, no icons. What was I say? MC Lot TV. Oh, MC Lotto TV. No crustaceans in my comments. That is disgusting. But yes, him. It may be possible that the jury saw more, and for whatever reason it wasn't released. We don't know. I'm going to do a reaction to this tonight if it's okay. I love your breakdown. Yeah, I appreciate it. And send me a link to it. Let me know when you did it. I have a hater. I don't know if he's in here today. I have a hater he's done reactions to a bunch of my videos, and according to him, I'm so stupid. I'm such a moron. I'm all this stuff. But yeah, go ahead. I have it set that you can do a reaction to it. Thank you for letting me know. Right. Okay. So someone said that they think that the footage disappeared at the very beginning. I don't know. Okay. So let me see. Did I have anything else I wanted to show you guys? I don't think so. Okay. So there's another couple things that I want to make sure that you guys understand. Okay. There's a difference between the Brady obligations, which are the law of the land because the Supreme Court has said that it is the law of the land, right? Prosecutors must turn over this evidence, and then subsequent cases by the Supreme Court have sort of expanded the understanding of what that means, right? So subsequent cases said, not only do you have to turn over exculpatory information and evidence that tends to impeach the credibility of prosecution witnesses, subsequent cases added that this is an affirmative duty, meaning the prosecutor has to turn it over even if the defense does not ask for it. They also added that it's an ongoing duty, meaning whenever the evidence arises, even if it's in the post-conviction phase, the prosecution has to turn it over to the defense, because that could be grounds for a new trial or an appeal or something, even 10 years after the fact, if new evidence comes out. So it's affirmative, it's ongoing. So those are the Brady rules, and they come from the court. Then there are the rules of evidence, which dictate what is admissible into court, right? Because something can be discoverable, meaning that the defense or the prosecution can ask for it, but it's still not admissible in court. So remember, I said that if the prosecution and the defense can't agree on what the prosecution is supposed to turn over to the defense, if the judge has to decide, the judge may decide, yes, this needs to be turned over to the defense. But later, when the defense tries to enter it, the judge could then say, oh, but it's not admissible to the jury. Right? So the judge really has multiple cracks at a lot of this evidence. Does it have to be turned over? Yes or no? And then if it is turned over, later they can say, is it admissible?
Yo, shout out to Counsel Grey, okay, for doing a great job breaking this down, okay? Salute to her. So you see her saying, I'm going to share it. I was on her live with her. And you see me, I'm hitting her, telling her, like, yo, I'm going to contact her as well. And I want to bring her on the channel as well. I'm open to all legal minds. I'm open to all of y'all minds as well. I do want to do a live, like, call-in shows where we can all talk about what we think about it, whether we legal minds or not. We could just speak on our feelings about this whole situation. This is a very polarizing case and trial where a lot of people on multiple sides feel different ways. Here on Go, we don't believe in echo chambers, okay? I'm not here to silence anybody. I'm not here to curse nobody for your own thoughts. Whether you think Karmelo deserved life or 50 or 20 or 30 or 1 year of freedom, whether you think that Austin should have been here or not, anything that people think. But me personally, Karmelo Anthony and Austin are children. You know what I mean? So I'm not one to say Austin should be unalive and he shouldn't be here. Okay. I have a child of my own. All right. So I'm not here to say that. Okay. I've been through a lot of things in my own life. Right. But God allowed me my time to get through some of the things that I've been through. But Austin never got a chance to learn from his mistake. Okay. Whether you be saying, I remember being told as a child, don't put your hands on nobody. And that's some of the things that I tell my own children, man, words ain't enough, you know, but Karmelo did have hands put on him. We have to understand that hands were put on Karmelo Anthony. He was seated the whole time. Okay. It didn't seem like he really wanted the action, but based on the witnesses' testimonies, whether you believe his lies, whether you think they told the truth, whatever the case may be, whether they were prepped by the prosecution, some people were saying that there was a back and forth. Yo, touch me then P, saying P words, B words, what then P? Is going back and forth between Austin, between Karmelo, it's many things. And until we actually get the transcripts in our hand, we'll be able to see exactly what the witnesses testified to. And then when we get that in our hands, maybe we could get to hopefully seeing what statements were said initially and where they differed in the trial itself. But one thing that we cannot miss is that that defense team called a witness, all right, that said all the things that they wanted them to say when they were being examined by the defense, but when it was cross-examined, right, on direct, but when it was cross-examined, they said that we believe that Karmelo, I believe that Karmelo was in the wrong. And how can a defense attorney not probe a witness enough to know that that is a possibility, right? Then we don't know a lot of things, man. Why do some people change their testimonies? Why? We don't know. Look at all of the stuff that was around this case, be it racism, be it anything. We all say that, yo, Texas is kind of crazy. It's kind of racist. So imagine some of the pressure that even those young children were under. Even Eddie flipped on him. Why? Why? I just posted a video on my channel of him and Eddie and all of that. I could go into the defense photos right now real quick for you and show you. Listen to me. Look, he knew him way more than that. What would make Eddie just flip on him like that and just flip ship? What would make him do that, right? Let's go into some of the fouls, right? Let's go into the actual photos, right? Let's go into the photos, okay? And it shows you, I think the defense spent too much time on Eddie. even though they're trying to prove that Karmelo didn't come there with that intention, and he came there because he was invited or he was talking with Eddie there, who's from the opposing team, right? They sat at other track meets together, even though they're on opposing teams. But Eddie was acting like he ain't know him when he know that he's with his girlfriend, which is supposedly Eddie's cousin, right? But what would make Eddie flip on him like that? It's a big question. What would make Eddie flip on Karmelo that way? You know what I mean? Maybe he feel like, yo, if he jump out the window and defend him, maybe his life could be in danger. We don't know. We don't know. We're just guessing and guesstimating everything that we guessing. You know what I'm saying? But we weren't there. We're not in the shoes. So we all don't know. We all don't know. None of us know the exact truth, all right? None of us know the exact truth, all right? Cool. Let's just bring up the photos again just to show you, right? And go back. Look, this is what the defense, hold up, let me screen share it. This is what the defense spent their time on. They spent a lot of time on Eddie. They had, the prosecution pulled up 58 photos. One of the photos showed Austin's exact wound, okay? Hit me on Instagram. I'll send y'all the link to all of the evidence that was released by the judge. Shout out to Malcolm. Shout out to Mel. All right. I love this. You're staying on this. Yes, salute to you, Queen. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it shows Austin's wound. You see it. Whether some people say it wasn't a wound like that. It was a wound, though. But the crazy thing is that Karmelo had this little slither of DNA on his hoodie. You would think that he had more on him. You know what I'm saying? But the reasonable doubt elements were kind of taken away based on Karmelo speaking, saying, yo, man, I told him not to touch me. Yo, listen, and he was speaking for himself. Yo, I did it. I'm not alleged. I know how this goes. But what does that mean? What is it goes? What is that? I told him not to touch me. I did it. What did you do? Like, these are what? We don't know the specifics. You're not saying exactly what he did. He's talking around it. And this is where the defense needs to come in to prove these things and to pull these things up. I think one of the blunders that the defense made was saying, listen, he's from Louisiana and they moved here to get a better life. What? Bruh, it's not about where you from. It's about where you at in earth. These people live in their state, bro. They got their small towns that they live in. Now we looking at you like an outsider. You came to our city, our town, our county to come and do this to one of our own? He didn't know Eddie that well. He knew Eddie for a few years, probably. How well he knew Eddie. Think about that. You from Louisiana, homie. So the prosecutors brought things up in open arguments. They brought things, but they ain't really drive it home. What they said, what also the prosecution said, they said, you know what? He had it because he's a camper. Okay, that's all they said from the opening. That's it. So what about driving that home? You know, the other day he went camping 2-3 days ago. He did this. He had a seatbelt cutter. He got a car. He done witnessed a friend in an accident, and he had it just in case he needed to cut a seatbelt. He needed to clean some cleats. Whatever the case may be. Some people saying that he had a cleat cleaner and it wasn't even a weapon at all. The defense called it a multi-purpose tool. The prosecution called that a knife. Let's just keep it real with each other here, bro. The defense was lackluster. Regardless of what you think, it was a lackluster in defense. Let me show y'all real quick. Okay, cool. Hold up. Let me bring this up and show y'all. It's craziness, man. Absolute craziness. Hold up. Let me just minimize this so I can bring this up. Hold up. There we go. Look. Look for yourselves. Look. This is what the defense spent time doing. Look. Okay. This is Eddie on the corner. Okay. With his mother for the 50th birthday party. Karmelo and the mother. Okay. They whole photos. 14 exhibits. 14 photographs. Him and Eddie looking like they chum cherry. They cool as ever. Right. Eddie acting like he ain't know him. Right. You see Karmelo over here. You see Eddie over here towards the right. He chilling, looking like they all Spanish, look like he chilling with their family, playing ball or whatever the case may be, right? That's him and I think the girlfriend allegedly, right? They looking like they was on a double dates, roasting marshmallow on an open fire, okay? Eddie got a shorty, he got a shorty, his shorty, Eddie cousin. I would like to know how this girl feels. Does she feel that Eddie threw him under the bus? Eddie act like he ain't know him like that? Imagine how she feels. Imagine how she feels. That's her family member. Look, they roasting marshmallows. You see 4 hands, all got a marshmallow, people roasting, chilling on a bonfire. Karmelo and the family, right? Karmelo and the family, everybody chilling. Again, they all chilling, right? They rocking out guitars. He playing PlayStation 5. Eddie over here playing PlayStation 5. Karmelo looked like he had a playful spirit. You know what I'm saying? Just this is a good photo just to show maybe somewhat of his character, his personality a little bit, you know what I mean, of who he is. You know what I mean? This is an important photo. But this is what the defense had to bring it up and say, if we bring up a photo right now, you act like you don't know him like that, looking you up and down like Martin Lawrence when he went up in the court and he looked at Gina and anybody else when they got in trouble with that damn car. You seen the Martin Lawrence episode. Let's not do it. Look, opposing team. He got on that same end that's on the top of the tent. He's a part of Austin's team. But yet he is sitting right next to Karmelo Anthony. So did Austin and Hunter never see Karmelo at all? I posted one video to my channel when Karmelo blew past a guy in a track meet and he won. He ended up coming back to win. He looked like an all-star athlete. I bring up the football highlights. He looked like he was balling. So you don't know who he is? But everybody acting like they don't know who Karmelo is. Look, and this is the last photo. That's it. Team captain award. He got it. At 2024, he was a team captain. He's the second category in the second slot right there. Adam Schmidt and him, Karmelo Anthony. That's all. That's all the defense brought up. Nothing else. Nothing else, bro. You ain't got no other photos you could bring up. You ain't got no character witnesses you could call. You ain't got nothing else you could do. Nothing else? You sure about that? It just seems weird to me. It just seems really weird to me, regardless of what side of the fence you lie on. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, you're going to have people all the way on the other side. That don't mean that we have to argue about that. I'm not coming to argue with nobody about this. You're going to deal with facts. You got your own feelings. I may have my own feelings. We have our own opinions, and we can speak about our opinions, man. That's all we can do. Doesn't mean that we need to be fighting about our opinions. Because what ain't come out in the rinse will come out. What ain't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. Especially if his new team is doing a job, many things will be uncovered that we never knew about this whole trial. So right now, we just guesstimating and speculating. We all are. Ain't nobody better than nobody. We all are guesstimating and we all are speculating. That's it. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. Okay. Let me bring up these state photos. Okay. Just to show you. Okay. State got 58 photos. Look, they going to work. State came out swinging, going to work. Yeah. Karmelo team bought out 14 photographs. Okay. What that supposed to do? What that supposed to do? Come on, bro. It's weird. It's weird, bro. That's why I can understand when some people say the fix was in. You know what I mean? I can feel you, bro. I can feel you. You know what I mean? Let me just make sure that y'all see it. Yeah, y'all can see it. Look, bro. Look for yourself. Okay? Y'all don't got these photos. Y'all don't got all the body cam footage. Y'all don't got the northeast side of the cameras. You don't got the southwest side of the cameras. But one video that we don't have is the direct middle. And we get to see that when I bring up, Betty, I might just bring up his school football game. So it shows that there is a middle camera. They have the southwest, the east camera, but there is a middle camera. What happened to that? Tay salute. What happened to that? Yo, John Galt, we don't need just shucking and jiving in here today. The butter biscuits is burnt, bruh. That's how much you done been. Them butter biscuits that you got going, boy. We don't need it, John. We don't need it, bruh. We don't need it, okay? Because if this was your son, how would you feel? That's my question to people. Anybody that say Austin should be unalive too as well. The fuck? If that was your kid, you would think that? You wouldn't think that if that's your kid. You wouldn't be saying that. I question, do some of you people even have a heart at all? Straight. I question, bro. Because if this was your kid, would you be feeling the same way? And if some of you say, yeah, man, if it was my kid, I said, lock his ass up. I said, throw away the key. And I could say, hey, man, if you saying that for real, salute to you, bro. But a lot of you would have a change of tune if it was your child. Let's just be realistic with each other here. You would have a change of tune. You would. You wouldn't be having that same oomph. You wouldn't have it. So just stop. You wouldn't. And we just lose humanity. You feel me? That's Austin coming into the field. That's from the entrance video. Okay. I have all the evidence that was released by the courts. You need it. Holler me on Instagram. Y'all follow me on IG and send me a DM. I'll send you the link to all of that. I'll send you a link to all the photos. You can even see Austin's wound. You can see Austin. You can see all of that. I'll send you the link. I can't show it. So when I get to a certain part of these photographs, I always stop. But we just got to look at the evidence, bro. So it's not about like a guy like him in the chat talking about use blacks. That's what he says. But the man's black. You blacks. What do you mean you blacks when you black? It's weird to me, man. That's weird to me. But you must have humanity on earth, man, because you never know a situation that you're going to find yourself under God's great sun. You never know. You never know. You feel me? So I'm not for Austin being unalived. And I'm damn sure not for Karmelo doing 35 damn years. That's point blank, period. That's it. Maximum could have been a manslaughter. Could have got 10 years up out of there, which is a lot of time. Anyway, the missed his whole 20s. The missed his 20s. He was a good student. That's done. Still got to come back and integrate into society. That's still a loss. Look at Case and Allison. Look at his case. He got 2 years for premeditated, came with the weapon to it, lured the kid into the bathroom, did what he did. Talking about he couldn't retreat. Got 2 years because the weapon as well was illegal. Okay. Over 5.5 inches. They gave him 8+ years. He got 10 years altogether, but he got charged with negligent homicide, bro. Did he mean to do it? We're going to say he meant to do it. You don't know. The judge and the people said he didn't mean to do it. So does that mean Karmelo meant to do it? Why? Because he's saying something. Sometimes people fluff. Sometimes people scared saying, yo, son, touch me. Yo. That may be a fluff. That may be peacocking. Trying to just say, yo, listen, hopefully nothing happens to me when I tell you don't touch me. Right? Some of you people in abusive relationship and your girlfriend done told you that. Touch me, let me find out. And she done pulled up the goddamn phone, said, act like she was calling police, and she didn't want to call police. But she told your ass that just to make sure your ass don't do it, though. So sometimes people peacock. But everybody act like they God or they Jesus and they know everything that happened under the sun. You don't know nothing, man. None of us know. Who feels it knows it, and who's in the situation actually know it. Austin, R.I.P. to him, Karmelo Anthony. Hearts go out to him because he's in hell right now in prison. He already sent out a letter allegedly that they actually harassing him already in that place. What are you talking about, bro? He's in for a long time in jail. So anybody saying he got 18 and a half, he gonna come home and all that, bro. 1 day in that place ain't promised, much less 17 and a half years. It's not promised to you, sir. It's not. Many people go in that place for driving infractions. The next thing you know, somebody trying to try you. Now you spending 20 years in that building. You know about that. I got friends that's doing that. So I see all sides of the situation. I don't look at it from a one-sided lens. Some of you ain't been through nothing. So I guess you're going to speak the way you speak. But you can't talk to me. You can't. Trust me, you can't. Look, Karmelo getting brought out. The kid's pointing towards him, pursuing him. Another kid gathering some steam, pointing at Karmelo, trying to get the staff's attention or something like that, right? He begins to run. After he runs, he begins to walk. They still pointing towards him, trying to get the staff's attention. But remember, he's running towards the exit. The exit is this way where he's running. This is a fact. Okay. I'm only here to tell you the facts. I'm not here to lie to you about nothing. Okay, cool. Right? He's still going his way. He ends up walking. There's a crowd right there by the exit. You understand that that's the exit because on the body cam footage, we can see that that's the exit. On the stadium footage, we can see that that's the exit. That's the same place where he was sat down on the ground and he spoke to Cortez. But then Officer Richie's body cam picked up him saying, I'm not alleged. I'm the one that did it. I know how it goes. You know how what goes? What did you do? What did you do? He never said exactly what he did. Right? Think about it. But that's up to the defense to prove these things. To say these are words. He's saying he did something, but what exactly did he do? Allegedly, he could have been acting like he's doing something. He could be confessing to something that he ain't do. He could have been saying he was about to do something. Somebody else did something. We don't know. But that's up to the defense to prove those things or to bring them up. to highlight these things in court on the record in front of the judge. Okay, cool. Look, this is where he actually walks into a staff member. I think her name was Tiffany, a blonde-headed white woman that walks him back to the other coach, a big black guy, 200-something pounds, and he's the one that walks with Karmelo on the 15-minute footage. You see him walk with Karmelo back towards where Austin was at. He walks away from Karmelo at one point. He gets distracted, walks towards the fence. Maybe he's talking to a student. He comes back to Karmelo. He tells Karmelo, listen, man, you might have thrown your life away if that boy passes away. You see Karmelo have a reaction. He does like this, and he's doing all of this. He puts his hand over Karmelo, his left arm over Karmelo, and hugs him. Karmelo puts his head on his chest. You see Karmelo put his left hand over him, and they just right there. It looks like Karmelo is sobbing with him. Seems very remorseful. He asked the cop and the officer, is he going to make it? Some people could say he's just asking him because he done did something and maybe he don't want the kid to be unalive. But at the end of the day, do real murderers act like this? Maybe sometimes, you never know, right? It's a possibility, right? Anything's possible on earth, so we just can't say everything, right? It's possible, but is it plausible, right? Boom. This is where I guess where the weapon was found. This is the coach, okay? You guys keep leaving early, okay? So you're not going to the district meet. You dudes never stay and celebrate your teammates, and you guys don't win. So what value are you guys bringing to the team besides coming and celebrating yourselves? And tell him it's from me. He says, yes, coach. This is from Coach Bass and Coach Stark. He says, yes, coach. I'll send it, and I'll take their issue on Monday. He's going to take their stuff from them because they're not going to the district meet. Noah and I think Ramir, there you go. Noah and Ramir is going to the district meet. See it right there. Okay, this is how the prosecution was coming. They wasn't playing no game. They came out swinging from the fence, going for home runs. But what's evidence withheld? Are there Brady materials that was withheld? That's not a far-fetched thing. Prosecutions do that. Say, you know what, we just gonna go through it. All right, we just trying this political case. We trying to get this done, put this on the books. By the time this case comes back up, next few years, I've probably been done retired. I'm not going to be here no more. Think they care? I'm going to be no prosecutor no more. I won my case, though. You don't think of like that because you're not a prosecutor. You don't think like that. But prosecutions do. All they want to do is win their case, like Keanu Reeves in the damn movie. Remember? See, I don't care about that. Remember he walked in the bathroom and the guy confessed to him? After you just want to win every goddamn case? Devil's advocate? You don't think about that. Okay? Cool. A heartbreaking message is on the actual day. This one is a heartbreaking message, man. R.I.P. to Austin Metcalf, regardless of the fact he's a kid, bro. This is to Austin, man. He said, you and Rhett are on the early bus. Get the tent. Do you know that Carmelo's coaches testified that they didn't bring their own team's tent because they didn't have the manpower to put it up? Part their fault, you know. Because if they had their tent, then it'd have been damn sure no business for Karmelo to even be over there. I don't give a hell about no damn Eddie. He had no choice to be in the ring at all. These are facts. These are facts. Look. And whatever else we need, get it. It's the weight of the world on young people. He told Austin and Rhett to get those things and do this. Okay? Set examples of how to conduct yourself today. Be a leader. Some people saying be a leader means he needs to tell people get out the tent. That's not what this means. You know why? Because I learned reading from the very beginning, from kindergarten to first grade. You read the sentences before and the sentences after, and you get to understand what someone needs. So when you read after, you can understand what he means by being a leader, right? You and Rhett to hold us down. I need y'all to hold us down. I will be helping with hosting the meet. So I'm going to be leaning on my older guys. They're in the 12th grade. You got kids in the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, all kinds of other students that's on the team. If you're older than them and you're not setting a good example for them, then what do they do? Even after you done left and went to college or whatever, what do? They follow some of your examples as elders to them. Look what Austin messages back. For sure, coach, I got you. This is on Wednesday, April the 2nd. This is at 7:58 in the morning. Okay, By 10 a.m., Austin is in a bad state. 10:05, they're working on Austin. They're working on him, okay? By 10:12 or so, they bringing out talks and preserving the weapon. So by 10 a.m., 2 hours and 2 minutes after this specific time, Austin is in a bad state. He's already took a wound to the chest. But look what his coach messages the next day. So this is what had me confused. Because Thursday, April the 3rd, look what the coach messages in him. I love you, man. Remember, this is at nighttime, 8:42 p.m. on the following day. Austin's already unalive, but yet he messages his phone and says, I love you, man. I'm sorry I didn't say enough. Austin's gone. It's a very heartbreaking message. Straight. Only a person with no compassion and no heart can even look at that and say, yo, that's just regular. That's not regular, bro. That man messaged him when he was unalive. Because he died there, basically. Right? We understand. They say Hunter went home to change his clothes, allegedly. I don't think he went straight to the hospital. I think he went home to change his clothes or something like that. I don't know if it was wet. He had maybe DNA on him, whatever the case may be. Some people saying, I would have went straight with my family. I wasn't changing nothing. Everybody put their own selves in their own mind. We don't know what anybody's doing, bro. So I can't even argue if he went to go change his clothes. What the hell happened? I don't know, bro. But that's what they say allegedly Hunter did, right? His twin just got unalived, right? Boom. They show you the scene, right? Show you the scene. Look, this is where they located the weapon at, right? It looked like two different weapons, though. This looked kind of tan. The other one looked green. I don't know, bro. Y'all do the math with me, bro. Look, two different weapons. I don't know, though. Multi-tool, weapon, knife, whatever you want to call it. Look two different, though, right? Look at this. Look at that. I don't know, bro. Was there multiple weapons on the scene? Were there? Think about that. We seen Austin and Hunter's friend run towards the garbage on the footage. Thought he was chasing Karmelo, but he ran to the garbage and ran back. What the hell he went to go discard? Think about that. Was it a weapon? What was it? They coming to search you? What, you throwing away the D-rugs? For what? They ain't coming to search you, sir. You ain't even involved. So what the hell he went to go throw in the garbage? And if they really edited all that, they would have edited that part out. He ran to the damn garbage. Next thing you know, the garbage is on the floor and they lifting up the damn garbage. That's something else. Cool. This is the scene. This is when they bring up the tarp. I told you around, I think 10:12 or so, right? 10:12 is when the tarp comes out. The officer on the scene said he grabbed a random book bag. Look, kids left their phones, everything there. Their friends just gotten alive, bro. They didn't care about no goddamn phone. They didn't care about no damn book bag. The officer grabs a random book bag and places it on tarp because it's windy. Look, we can see the wind. This is through testimony. But we can see on this photo that the wind is blowing up under the tarp. You can see it. So you see it's a windy day besides the rain. And he's trying to preserve the evidence. The random book bag that he grabs is whose book bag? Just miraculously. Guess who? Karmelo Anthony's book bag that he puts, regardless of all these book bags that's here, that's the book bag that he grabs. Look. That's Karmelo's book bag right there with his team logo on it. This is Austin's coat. This is Austin's sneaker. That's how come we know that Austin is the first one that walked in with the set of three on the entrance camera. And then his brother Hunter comes right behind him, walking with, I think, Carlson or whatever his name is. His friend, allegedly, that's the one that ran to the garbage. He's the one in the back. But we see on the footage, which I'll bring up and show y'all, how Hunter ends up passing Austin. He runs up, taps him on the back, and runs up ahead, and he's the first person to enter the tent. It was Hunter was the first one because Hunter was behind the first three people. But he ran up front, and that's how he ended up passing his brother Austin and going into the tent first. You see that on the footage. Okay, cool. That's the book bag. You see the team logo. Same logo that was on his jersey when he was sitting next to Eddie at the track meet that I showed y'all on the same video. Right? See it? Right? Evidence marker, the weapon. what's the color with this though? Why does it look like two weapons though? Why it look like that and why it look like this? You think Flash can make something green look tan or gray? You think Flash could turn something gray? That's pretty weird to me. I don't know. Looks like the same exact weapon though. But that just seems pretty weird that it looks from gray to green. I don't know. That's just very weird to me. Okay. But location looks the same, right? Let's look at location. Look, it look like it's hanging over a little bit over that line. Let's look at this one again. It looked like it's hanging a little bit over that line. Let's go back here again. The position looks very similar, regardless if we think that Flash or not made this weapon look different. Because some people are saying it's two different weapons. That's a big misinformation that's going around. We don't know if it's misinformation or not. Right? But we do see that the weapon looks a different color here. Right? Everything else looked black and we see red. We see all the other colors. But this looks gray now. What's that about? Right? They show you the size of the weapon. They show you the size of the weapon from the other angle, show you that it got a thumb push and it got the thing on the side inside to put the knife inside the sheath. Shows you the weapon, full length, right? Shows you Austin's clothes, his jacket that he had on, that he bled in, right? The outside of the coat, right? The back of his coat, the inside of his coat, the book bag that Karmelo had, which just so happens to be his book bag that the officer picked up. Random as hell. It's crazy, bro. Right? Show you the contents of the book bag. Right? It shows you the content. He had a hand warmers as well. Allegedly, the hand warmers and the weapon is from the same maker. Same maker makes both of them, allegedly. What did the defense do to come prove some of that? We don't know. They do nothing. Right? Ski mask, a poo shiesty. Chain, everything here, contents, a blueberry muffin, maybe a corn muffin over there, blueberry muffins. His hoodie with the DNA line slash on it, evidence marker where the DNA is at. Zoom into the DNA. There's all that DNA he got on him from that wound. Some people saying, how you just got that little bit of DNA if he the one that poked him? Oh, bro. It's a lot of questions that people are guesstimating and speculating. It's a lot of questions. The back of the hoodie, same way, nothing on it. This is when we see on the body cam footage where he tells him, hold up, you got blood on you there, so don't lean back yet. He ends up taking the picture. But in court, they testify that Karmelo nicked his own finger. So that's not Austin's DNA. That's Carmelo's fingers nicked by the weapon, most likely. That's from testimony, not from my own mind. So that's not Austin's DNA. That's Karmelo nicked his finger. He has a cut on his hand. He's stained. Okay, cool. And that's the last photo because the photo after this one is the actual photo of Austin's wounds. Okay, that's facts, bro. We got just getting the straight facts. So I'm kicking it. Facts. Not my mind, what I'm thinking in my head. Not because I'm Matlock. Everybody come to YouTube, turn Matlock. No, bro. This ain't that. That ain't this. Look, let me bring up something else for y'all real quick. Hold up. Let me stop screen sharing this so I can bring up something else for y'all. Cool. Right? And we could get into that. We could just get into the footage and get through some of that too as well, right? Boom. Let me bring up some. Hey, that one, salute to you. I appreciate that, man. Salute to everybody, man. Send God in the building. You already know. Voldemort in the building. You already know. Bridget in the building. Salute. Salute. DJ Genesis. Salute to you. You already know the vibes, man. Salute to everybody that's popping in, right? The wound is crazy. If y'all ain't got the photos, the images of that, just hit me on the gram. I'll send you the link. You see it for yourself. You see the other 5 photos or whatever. You got the wound, Austin wound. You see it for yourself. It's looking like that. I could bring up the autopsy picture to show you what the wound looked like. I can bring that up and show you right now. But it was a real wound that was sustained, though. Not even gonna hold you. Some people saying he fell on the weapon. Some people saying his energy, his momentum with Karmelo pulling it out could have been reason why it hit him so deep. It's many multitude of speculations that we speculating. I'm gonna put them all on the table, but we all speculating. None of us got nothing concrete, right? We just all speculating, bro. That's it. Ain't none of us Matlock, homie. We speculating. Point blank, period. Right? So boom. So let me get into I showed you that. Let's go into the actual surveillance video real quick. So I got that too. All of that is in the evidence. Surveillance footages, all that is in the evidence as well. Boom. Okay, cool. Let me share this to the screen so y'all can see this, right? And we could probably get into some of that, right? Boom. Right? So boom, this is the footage. I can zoom it in where we need to be, right? Let's just skip through. So look, remember, on the entrance video, okay, we see Austin walking first with the two boys. Moments later, his brother Hunter walks in. We know, we look at the sneakers. The sneakers tell you, besides the circle that they put on Austin, the sneakers show you who it is. I just showed you that Austin had on a gray New Balance sneaker. Just showed you that. And his brother had on some white sneakers. Whatever the name is, we don't know, right? So boom, it's going to show you where Austin runs in front of his brother. Look. Look when they come in. Let me show you. And you could even see it on the entrance cam video where he begins to run. Look, let's play it from right here. See, that's Hunter right there running. Look, he was with this boy back here. Okay, he's running. Let me zoom it, make sure y'all got it zoomed. Hold up, let me get me off the screen so y'all can see it clearly. Boom, you can see it. Look, okay, I was wondering, how did he get in front of Austin? That's how he got in front of Austin. He ran up. He's going to run up to his brother, touch him on the back. Look, bang, right? And he runs in front of him. He's still running. See? That's how Hunter goes through the gate where the cop brought Karmelo through, remember? Right? And that's how he gets in front of Austin. Now, Austin's in the back now with this kid back here. And he's in the front. These other two kids are going to walk straight. Look. And Hunter's going to be the first one to walk up. And you could even see that his sneakers are white. You can even see it for yourself. Look, let's zoom in a little bit. Look where Austin, look. Austin walks in the tent. You see him, right? Boom. You see Austin walk into the tent. Look, his sneakers are white too. Look, the other two kids break off. He's the first one in the tent. Some people are arguing that Hunter was there first. Austin was there first. If Karmelo's already in that tent, they say Austin was the first one to approach him. That initially instigated the situation. Austin accelerated the situation, getting into the physical confrontation, and we can see that something moves very fast. We see Karmelo's head go back like this and go forward. Some people saying that he was basically put in a chokehold. We don't know. Other people testify that the testimonies say that Austin put him in some football move. Remember, Karmelo sitting down. He grabs him like this to maybe lift him up out his seat. What you mean you ain't getting up? Get up. But before he does that, whether Karmelo was telling him, touch me and find out, another kid says to Austin, yo, I think he got something in that book bag, yo, just chill. Austin tells them, he ain't got nothing in that bag, this Frisco. Negligence, bro. Negligence. So many reasons of why this shouldn't happen. So many reasons of why a dog should be called. A staff member should be called, homie. The hell? Look, Austin goes and sits down first. You see him there. He goes, he sits down now. Boom. Now, Hunter sits first. You see Austin go into the tent. Okay? 4 minutes after this happens, better yet, 2 minutes after this, someone walks in. Megan Kelly posted on her video that the person that comes in 2 minutes after this, we're at 1 minute and 49 seconds. Look where the video starts, though. The videos are editorials. The videos have been edited already, regardless if we think they've been tampered with. They've been edited. Why we don't see the whole field, the whole footage of whatever happened that whole damn day, or even moments before all of this, them walking in. Look where it showed you. I didn't go too far. I mean, 1 minute and 49 seconds, we already see Hunter running. Why? Why we can't see everything that happened from before? So we would know for a fact if Karmelo was in that tent. We only see Karmelo pop up and walk by that tent. That's all we seen on the other footage. I'll send you all the documents if y'all want to see it for yourself. I ain't want to lie to you. Why they started from there, though? Why? Ask yourself these questions. Look, 2 minutes after this, we're going to see a figure walk by. They saying Megan Kelly testified that that's Karmelo. So she's basically saying that Austin and the brothers were there first, and then Karmelo came. Court TV and them is saying Karmelo was there first, and then the brothers came. Okay? After that 2 minutes, 4 minutes after that, this is 9:54 a.m., 9:54 a.m., 9:56 a.m., at 10 o'clock a.m., Austin's being poked. Okay? Watch the footage. Okay, cool. You're going to see a girl come with her yellow raincoat. You're going to see all of that happen. Look, show you something. We'll talk. So I'm going by basically what was testified in court too. Remember, I had Neek, I had Queen Sheba, I had Mel, I had different people that's there at the court. I'm picking brains to see what the hell happened. So I'm understanding this way before I even got the footage. So I'm looking for what the hell I'm looking for when I get the footage. And I ain't have to listen to what just the news is saying, because sometimes the news will tell you whatever the hell they want to tell you, lies to your vision, homie. Don't be dumb. Right? Look. With a girl with a raincoat. Look. Okay, look. Let me see when the person comes in. Look. Okay, this person right here. Megan Kelly posted on her channel that this person that comes behind Austin, remember, Austin's sitting right here under the tent. You see with the M? The left part of the M, Austin's on the left of that. He filled up that gap. So Austin's there. So a figure comes in and sits behind Austin. Okay. Eddie's supposed to be to the right of him. So Eddie's basically where the M, that the left part of the M exactly is, or maybe close in between that and the middle of the M. Okay. That's where Eddie's supposed to be. Okay. So Eddie's supposed to be on the right side of Karmelo Anthony. Right. So look at it for yourself. This person right there kind of looked like they had on light colors too. Remember, Karmelo had on a gray hoodie. Let me go back a little bit. Look. It looked like they were in black. Look. Watch it. Look at this person. This person comes in and sits down behind Hunter. When everything happens, you see Hunter turn around because they say that Hunter gave chase after Karmelo, but then he turned around to go after his brother. We watched Hunter turn around, step over, like, remember, his book bag's there. We just showed you the scene on the photos. His book bag's there. There's all types of stuff there besides stepping over the bleacher. We seeing this. Look. So somebody already sat down. All right? Cool. One witness testified that Austin moved so fast with a speed towards Karmelo that he ended up knocking out Eddie off the bleacher or knocked him down or something like that, right? When he moved towards Karmelo Anthony. All right? Cool. So we're going to see a figure coming from under the M, maybe by the right side of the M, or maybe from the right M part of the M towards the middle part of the M. You're going to see a figure from there move towards that figure behind his brother Hunter, where Hunter's sitting. Hunter's sitting on the left side of the M. He's not right under the M, the left side. He's to the left of that. Okay, cool. Look. So 4 minutes after this is when the altercation is going to come. So let me just skip a little bit, right? So this may be the time when they saying, yo, son, you need to get up out of here. Yo, move me then, B. Yo, you a P. You a put. They saying, Karmelo said, yo, your team is trash and all type of other talk they say is happening. Maybe this is happening between the 4 minutes is happening. Because where else this conversation could be happening that everybody testified, all 21 witnesses. So it's happening now. This is where the conversation is happening. That's why I felt like the brothers were there first. Maybe Karmelo came there initially, but I think the brothers are there first because if he's already there, it's already up with you. Why you here, bro? We don't like you, bro. So why it ain't already up? So it would make sense that the brothers is there and then Karmelo popped in. And now they're like, yo, bro, you got to go. That would make sense to me. I wasn't there, but we going to get the testimony when I get the transcript. I spoke to the court reporters already. They said we have to wait for the appellate procedure. Then after that, they will be readily available and they will let me know how much to pay for them. And I'm buying them. Good. Look. So look, we see heads moving under the tent. It's going down. When we zoom a little closer, hold up, let's try to zoom. It's going to get more blurry. We could try to zoom. Look, let's zoom again. Boom. Let's zoom again. Okay. No, we can zoom again. It's going to get crazy when we zoom. The figure's going to start to get more blurry. All right. Cool. All right. So 4 minutes is when it's going down. Look, let's go back a little. Let's go forward a little bit. All right. Let's go to where it's happening at. Okay. Remember, I told you the girl with the yellow raincoat comes. Remember? Told you that, right? Cool. Look. Cool. She sits down, right? But we can see head movement, okay? Legend that this person that's under the left side of the M or to the right of him, his right, our left of him, right, is Austin. So one of these figures is Austin, okay? But we're going to see a figure move fast, so we'll be able to exactly place where Austin is, right? Look. We're going to see something move fast towards the right. Okay. They left our right. Something from underneath the M, from this part of the M. This part of the M. Okay. Watch. Let's move a little bit forward. We can see. Hold up. Look, it's getting kind of bucky in there. It's getting kind of more movement going on under there. Right? Right? Then I'm going to bring up the 911 call to show you that the kid said Austin made a move. Austin made a move. What do you mean you made a move? That sounds like when somebody has something and you go for the weapon. That's the only time you say somebody made a move. What you mean they made a move, bro? Somebody had a weapon. He was warned. He was warned, bro. Don't do it. Don't do this. He was warned. He didn't take heed to the warnings. Look, straight. R.I.P. to him, but he didn't. Look, it's coming up soon. Okay. All of this time, you mean nobody ain't taking no cell phone footage? I bring up an image right now that'll show you where people looking like they're taking footage. Look, let me take a pause of this. Look, just to show you, we ain't with the lies. We ain't with the lies, bro. Look, where my images at? Look, look. Who this? Your hand like this, homie. Look, your hand like this, homie. Look. Who camera was that? Investigators ain't go seek those phones out? Or did they not want to seek those phones out? Think about that. Think about it. Good. You see what's going on there. What happened? Look like camera footage being taken. You know we live in a world star world where everybody world starring, right? Look, let's keep going. Look. Look. You're going to see something move from left to right very fast. Then you're going to see the figure on the right side go backwards. Okay. We see somebody step across the M towards the left, our left. We just seen somebody step toward the left, right? Cool. Okay, look. Look, you see that? Look. Something stepped over. Look, someone's Austin. Look, steps over, moves towards Karmelo. Look. Boom, pushes him. Pushes him. His head snaps back. Some people saying maybe he hit him. Besides him grabbing him or choking him or doing whatever, his head snaps back like this. We see this on the blurry footage. Look. Let me zoom again. Look, it's about to happen right now. Look. That figure steps over and goes towards the right, our right. That's the step over. The step over happens. It's like this now. Okay? It's like this. Then we're going to see the figure on the right side, which is Karmelo. But remember, someone testified that he moved so fast. He was moving so strongly, he knocked Eddie down. Okay? You're going to see the head snap back. Some people saying that allegedly some kind of chokehold being placed. Oh, no. Maybe that could speak towards why there's only a slither of DNA on them. Why he ain't got all this DNA on him. Think about this. This is a chest wound. If I show you his wound right now, bro, I showed you what it did to his jacket. That's all Karmelo got. That's that little pencil mark of DNA. Think about it. Look. The head snaps back. Look. Let's go back a little bit. The head snaps back. Look. Boom. Boom. Push back. Some people say the footage is edited because it kind of like Austin kind of like breaks apart. Like, you know what I mean? It just looked like he just breaks apart, but most likely he falls, right? But look what happened with Hunter. Hunter was sitting right in front of Karmelo. Look what Hunter does. You can see Hunter. Look, Hunter turns around, steps over, and looks like he gives chase up to the top of the tent where Karmelo's running, and then he turns back around. Look. Look, that's Hunter right there. Look, you see it? Look. Come again. Look again. Look again. A figure right around here. I wish y'all could see my arrow. Hope y'all can see it. Oh, Jesus Sanders. Look. Look at this figure right here. Turns around and runs over, but then comes back down. You see? That's Hunter going to give chase after Karmelo, but he turns back around to go see what's going on with his brother, because that's what I guess he said, he stabbed me or something like that. I think Austin said allegedly, right? Karmelo begins to run now, right? Carlson, whatever the kid name is, the kid that walked in with Hunter. Remember, Hunter was in the back. I'm going to show you this on the entry footage. That's why I'm showing you this first. He's allegedly the person that runs. I think he's chasing after Karmelo, but he runs to the garbage and he goes to the garbage. Look like he throws something in it, but he's hitting it with momentum that the garbage can moves. What did he discard in the garbage can? Ask yourself that question. Look right there. Boom, the garbage can moves. Look at it. Look at it again. Look. Boom, he throws something in the garbage can. What did he throw in the garbage can? Was it a weapon? Was it D-Rugs? You ain't being searched, sir. You ain't got nothing to do with the altercation. More like a weapon problem. That's just my own mindset. What else you going to throw in that garbage, bro? It ain't happened to you. You ain't did nothing, bro. What you going to throw in the garbage? Why are you running to the garbage and running back, sir? Look at him in full sprint back. You ever played in gym when you had to run to the line and then run back? I forget what it's called. Like squads or whatever it's called, right? Remember what I'm talking about? You hit the line and you run back. He running back like he doing squads or whatever it's called. Remember we did it in gym, elementary school? Look, he already running back. Other people run to give chase and start pursuing Karmelo. Zoom out. Look, that's what I showed y'all on the prosecutor's photos. Look, boom, zoom out. I'm gonna show you that Karmelo has a reaction to the coach. He's sorry about this thing that he's done. He's sorry, bro. Besides what he's saying, his actions are showing you. They're pointing towards him. He begins to walk. He's walking towards the exit. The exit is right over here. Where you see this green patch over here, come from the white car that's right here, Paul, down to where the people are. That's the exit. I'm gonna show you that's the exit from the entryway video. Okay, look, right? Was he trying to boogie? Get the hell up out of here? Who knows? But what happens is a female staff member, I think her name Tiffany or whatever, blonde-headed white woman, she ends up getting Karmelo and bringing Karmelo to the other coach, which brings him back towards the other way. Look. Look. This is where the woman gets him. You see, they went there to get their attention, and now you see them running back towards Austin. Right? Because their friend just got poked, right? They're going to see what happened to Austin, right? Boom. Look, he's walking. You can even see the little coach, the little woman, the staff woman behind him. You see, she's a short woman. She's behind him. Karmelo circled. The other person on Carmelo's right is the coach, the black coach that's like 200-something pounds, a big guy. He's talking to Karmelo. He's the one that tells Karmelo, yo, man, if that boy passes away, you might have thrown your whole life away, and we're going to see the reaction from Karmelo. But right before he gets to that point, you see him get distracted and walk towards the same fence, like he's talking to a student maybe, and then he comes back to Karmelo. Karmelo starts walking by himself, but then he turns back around, and then the coach intercepts him again and talks to him again. Look at the whole video. Look, the woman's there. See her? She breaks off. She's one running now. She's running towards the scene of Austin. The coach is with him, talking with him. Right? Look. The coach breaks off. Look. He walks towards the gate. Maybe he's talking to some students, whatever he's doing. Karmelo's by himself now. He could break out again if he wants to run. Yeah, he can run. Does he run? No, he doesn't. Look. He walks that way a little bit and stops. Look. The coach comes back, intercepts him. Look, there go the coach again. Talks to him. Yo, you might have thrown your life away, man. If that boy passed away, he going to put his left arm up. You're going to see Karmelo do this. Let me zoom it so you can see it clear. Look, you're going to see him have a reaction, okay? He didn't want to do this. Look, zoom in. Okay, so you can see it. Zoom in again so we can see it clear. Even though we know we get blurry as we zoom, right? Hold up. Zoom in, right? Can I zoom in again? Let me see what it looks like. Cool. Look, watch Karmelo. Okay, look at him. Coach is talking to him. Look, boom. You see him? Look at him. The coach puts his hand on him. Left arm on Karmelo. He's like this. Most likely, sad. Karmelo puts his arm over the coach. They look like he hugging, he talking to him. Listen, man, you know what I'm saying? Probably trying to, you're going to make it through it, man. You're going, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully he don't pass away. Whatever he's telling Karmelo right now. Look. Karmelo left hand. Look. Carmelo's left hand. Right? Yes? Y'all with me? Carmelo's left hand, right? Yes or no? Let me put myself down here so you can see me down here. Left hand. Okay? Cool. We're watching this together. Real time. Look, I'm going to show you an entryway video as well. The paramedics was there so fast. They was there in like 5 minutes, bro. That was the best help for Austin. But for them, by people that is medical practitioners, they said that with a wound like that, you got to break open the chest cavity. He needs to go to the hospital fast. You got to break open the chest cavity to repair the heart. Okay? He needed to get to the hospital as fast as possible. So even when they're working on him, it's like to no avail. Okay? Cool. Look. Okay? He started walking him back down here. Okay? This one, other staff members or whatever the case may be, enters the fray. Right? Zoom out. Look. He walks towards Austin. So he gets to see the state of Austin. Because look, he's walking back to the scene. And he looked like they turned back around. You don't want to see that, bro. Now you see what's happened. What you actually did or what you didn't do or whatever happened, you actually get to see what's going on. Look, he walks over there. Look. Remember, Austin's right there on the floor. They walk back. Okay? Other staff members going to come in. I think maybe it's an officer that gets there, right? Maybe it's somebody, right? Because we're going to see Karmelo, when the other people come, you're going to see Karmelo get on his knees. You're going to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back already. But we know that Officer Cortez comes from behind that gate. The same gate where Karmelo ran at, he comes from behind there. I showed you on the body cam video in the beginning. I'll bring up back the body cam footage so you can see again. Look. 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 Other people are there. These people come. This person, look, this coach is going to have a reaction. This person stops in front of Karmelo. The person's going to turn around, throw something on the floor, walk away, come back, pick it up off the floor. This person's like, damn. That's what the person's basically saying. This person, the body language of this person in the black that's in front of Karmelo. That's what they about to do. Look. Look. They talking about what happened, right? Look. Look, he's like, yo, what? He's like this. Karmelo's like this, right? Right? Karmelo's like this, right? Look. Watch something get thrown on the floor. Watch. Look. Look, he gets on the floor and puts his hands behind his back. Karmelo, look, let me zoom in. You see it clearly. It's day. Zoom in. Zoom in twice. Because when you zoom too much, it gets blurry. He's on his knees with his hands behind his back already. This before Officer Cortez, which is the first officer that really makes contact with him and say, don't touch nothing, don't do nothing. You got weapons and anything on you? All right, cool. We're going to bring you over here. That's that officer. The second officer comes from the entranceway, and she's the one that catches Karmelo on the body cam footage saying, I'm not alleged. I'm the one that did it. I know how this goes, right? Or it goes. What is it? That's a question that you ask yourself. Look. Look, he's on his knees. Look. You know when you sit back on your knees, like Indian style damn near, but your feet behind you though. You sit on your knees. He's sitting on his knees and his legs. You know, you sit back on the heels of your feet. He's sitting back on the heels of his feet with his hands behind his back right now at the moment, right? So he like, yo, listen, I'm here. Cool, look. Watch the other coach. Look, he take off maybe his headset. Look, something in his hand, watch. He's gonna throw it. Look, watch. Boom, you see it bouncing on the floor, right? Look, let me go back a couple seconds. Look. Look, he throws it on the floor. Look, it's gonna bounce, bounce, bounce. He walks past it. See him? He's gonna turn back around. He puts his hands on his head, hand on his hip. He comes back, picks it up off the ground, right? He walks past them. You see him walk past now. He's going back towards Austin Way. Hand on his head, and he's like this. Something tragic has happened, right? The officer that's gonna first make contact with Karmelo is gonna come from behind this gate though. Okay, so we're gonna see when that officer actually makes contact with him, right? Look, look, you're gonna see Karmelo move towards the gate. Look, look, look. Let's go when he starts to move towards the gate. Look. Okay, when he starts to move, remember, look, hands behind his back. Hands not. This is the officer here. That's that's Officer Cortez. That's the first cop on the long body cam footage that comes to Karmelo and tells him, yo, listen, man, you got to, don't move, don't do nothing. And Karmelo says, I was protecting myself. That's the first thing Karmelo says to him on the body cam footage. Before he said, no, I told him not to touch me. That's later when he's getting exited to the car. He says from the beginning, I was protecting myself. This is what he says to him. I'm going to bring up the video so you can see for yourself. Look. That's when the officer makes contact with Karmelo. Look, right? Let's zoom out so you can see. Right? Zoom out. Zoom out, right? Look. This is when he walks through that gate. Remember, there's a lock gate. He gets out the gate. Karmelo has his hands in front of him, right? Remember where I told you where Karmelo was running was basically the exit was there. But Karmelo stopped by the woman. The woman stopped him, and he ended up walking back. The exit's there, though, right? That's where the cop car is, too. Look. He stops here for a second. This is what the officer's talking to him, right? Then he's going to bring him towards the front a little bit more, right before the entranceway, right? And then that's when Karmelo's going to get on the ground and sit on his butt. And this is where the officers, he's talking to the officer. He said, yo, I got the alleged suspect right here. And he says, I'm not alleged. I'm the one that did it. But you can't hear it on Officer Cortez's body cam because his walkie-talkie, his CB radio is chirping and bleeping and he's calling. So you don't get to hear exactly what Karmelo says. Only through Richie, which is the female officer that comes into the field from the entranceway, she picks it up on a 17-second body cam footage, which is her footage, right? Look, he's going to get on the ground here. So I'm going to show you the entrance and I'm going to show you both body cam footages again. And that's what we need to see. Okay. See, he's going to get on the ground. So we're going to see when she comes. We're going to see when she comes. We're going to see when she comes right now. Right? Look, she's going to get on the ground. I'm going to get on the ground. Look. Boom. He gets low. See? He gets on the ground. You see him sit down on his butt. Right? Then we're going to see the officer, Richie, which is the female cop, make her way in, right? But I'm showing you how fast the paramedics came and the fire department came because when Karmelo's being exited right past this, he gets out. They're walking past Karmelo on the entryway video. Look. Okay? Look. So we see when the female cop comes in from this side, and I'm going to show you the entry video. Then I'm going to show you the two body cam video so you can see what the hell's going on. Look. Okay, where's she at? That's her? Not yet. Not yet. Look. Yeah, she's there. That's her that came there. So look, we can see when she walks in. That's her that's walking up right there. Boom, she walks up. And that's her that's standing right there. Boom, right? Okay, let's close that out. Okay, so we saw that. Okay, we got that on the books. Boom, right? We got that on the books. Let's remove that. Who that? Genesis, I got you, Queen. What's up? I got you, Queen. So we got that on the books, right? Cool. Let me stop sharing that, right? Let me go into, hold on, let me bring it up from the file so that we can bring it up clearly. All right, let me bring up the file. So I'm gonna show you the entry, right? Let's see the entryway. Boom. Okay, this is the entryway video. Okay, boom. I don't need this no more. That's the footage from there. So boom. Look, let me bring up the entryway video. Cool. Share. Hold on, let me share it. Let me share it. Okay, share on screen. Window. Boom. Right. Shout out to my girl DJ Genesis. She in here rocking with me. All right, cool. Look, right. So now this is the entryway video. We're gonna skim through it because the first person that walks in is Austin, right? They don't look as dark because of the light, but he has darker sneakers than his brother. So that's him. That
hey, bro, I'm sorry. I was on a phone call, but yeah.
Let me just get through this thing. Let me just get through this thing, Queen. Let me just get through this thing. Right? So boom, right? So now, look. So we got him. That's Austin comes in with the two boys at first. 3D. Remember what I said? How did Hunter get in front? I showed you that Hunter ran up past him, touched him and ran past him and was the first person to go into the tent. But we see that Hunter was behind his brother, right? He literally has on white sneakers. So that's Austin. Walking with a swagger, kind of big, kind of strong, right? That's Hunter. His sneakers look different. Look like he got some orange and some green and some other colors in these white sneakers. They dress identically like twins, right? So we see him. And this kid right here with the curly hair, he's allegedly the one that went to the garbage. Carlson, whatever his name is, allegedly. Look, him. Go back so you see him. Him. This one right here, him. See what I'm saying? Look. Right? Cool. So we got him coming in. So now what we're going to see is this, right? So look, the footage automatically zooms. I didn't zoom that. They zoomed this. Why? Why? Right? So what we're going to see is a bunch of kids congregating under this tent. At one point after the situation happens, they're going to break down this tent. They're going to throw this tent to the left. Our left is going to go in this grass. That's how come we know it's really up and smoking and the situation doesn't happen. We're going to see, remember what I showed you, how they walk Karmelo to the front. We're going to see from the entry video that the officer walked him right here to the edge of this pole, right in front of this tent. And that's where Karmelo sits on his butt, right? Then we actually going to see the officer Richie comes in. I'm going to show you both body cams so we can see all angles. She's going to come in. And then when Karmelo's being walked out the exit, we see the paramedics and the first responders actually walking past Karmelo. They even stopped him so that they could get by. And that's how fast that they got there. So I got to play the 911 call so you hear that as well, because we hear them say Austin made a move. Cool. Look. And if we made a fight or he swung, he did this. When you made a move, it's like somebody had a weapon and you made a move, bro. You was negligent. You ignorant to the fact. You like, yo, bro, somebody made a move. It's like somebody holding you up on hostage or some shit. And you made a move. And somebody on the 911 call says, look. Okay, so let me skip through. You're going to see the tent breakdown. Look, this is all kids going. They chilling. Remember, it's raining. You know what I'm saying? They going where they going to the track meet. They congregated under the tent at first. You're going to see the tent get broken down. Look. Look. Look, it's already happened. It's happened now. Look. Look. Somebody comes and breaks down the tent. Let me show you. Look. See? They break down the tent. It's happened already now. Right? They throw it over the left side, like I told you, right? You're going to start to see, look, that's the officer right there with Karmelo, right here, being walked out. Karmelo has his hands in the front of him, okay? They didn't cuff him yet. Even though he said he was going to cuff him on the body cam footage, he cuffs him over here. That's where he cuffs him at. Look. See, Karmelo has his hands in the front like this. See him? Why? right? He's going toward the exit. He stops him. Hold on, wait, come in. Stops him. They push him back that way, right? Look like a staff member pushes him that way, right? He cuffs him right there. That's where he got cuffed. He sits him on his butt, right? Look, he's gonna sit on his butt like I showed you in the other video, right? You gotta compare all videos to understand anything that's going on. You just can't watch one video. You gotta make sure everything is on point, everything's timed up, whether it's edited or not. It was edited all together. If it is, so let's look at it all, right? Look, see, this is Officer Richie. She's coming in now. This is when she gets him on body cam footage saying that he's not alleged. He did it. I'm gonna show you that. Look. So she's there. She comes. She's there for a couple of seconds. See, they're already signaling the responders, the paramedic, and right before that is like a fire department person, because you can see they got on them fire department pants. Look. See, they waving people in. Look, by the time he gets up, let's skip past a little bit, because when he gets up, they're about to walk him out. They still talking to him. Let's go when they start to walk him out. Okay, look, boom. Paramedics look like fire department type people. You see the pants that fire department people wear. Look right behind them. Look like ambulance right behind them. Darker colored clothes that ambulance wear. Karmelo, look, they pull him to the side. They walk past. This all happened within like 5 minutes. Austin poked at 10:05, they did. We hear it from the 911 call. It's going to show you that it was exactly 10:05 from the 911 call. So besides the testimony that's testified in court, we hear it on the 911 call, so we can place time for ourselves, even if we're in the court or not. So whoever telling me it don't matter, shut up. Everything matters in life. What's wrong with you? Look. See, they stop Karmelo for a second. They walk him by. All right. Cool. Let's zoom. Let me zoom out. Look, they the one who zoomed that out. But watch them zoomed it in. Watch them zoom it out. Look. So I'm not zooming nothing. Look, they zoomed that in. I didn't do nothing. But now they zoom it back out. The shit crystal clear, 4K again. That's not weird. Jinkies, Velma, it's weird. Look, they walk Karmelo out. That's what he's crying to him about. I told him not to touch me. And they walk him to the car. Right? Look, he got yellow tape in his hand. This officer is walking with yellow tape in his hand for the crime scene, bro. It's already looking like a body. Right? Cool. We got that out the way. So boom, let's stop sharing that. Let's stop sharing that, right? Make sure y'all can see me good. Let's stop sharing that. Cool. Hold up, where am I at? Cool. Right? Let's stop sharing that. And let's go to the hold up. Let's go to the body cam footages, right? So we're just gonna watch the 2 body cam footage so you place all of it. If you need it all for yourself, hit me on the gram. I'll send you out a link to it. Period, point blank. Just message me. I'm not one for holding shit to myself. Not a fake one. Not with the dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Boom. I need all my people timed up, timed in, and on the right timing. See what I'm saying? Boom. So let me screen share this to y'all. Hold up. Boom, right? And I still got to play the audio. So you're going to listen to the audio too. It's going to tell you. That's the last thing I'm going to play. So let's play the body cam footage again now. Remember where the cop came from. Look. Are y'all hearing it?
Don't reach for anything.
Wait. Wait. Let me make sure y'all hear it.
I think if you put like the closed caption, it might play the actual, say what it said.
No. Wait a minute. Let me get this up out of here first. No, y'all about to hear this shit. What you talking about? Let's do this shit again. Wait a minute. Because now the other thing I was sharing, I got to make sure I hit that button to share the sound to you. That's all that is. Hold up. I'm on deck this time around. Look, we on smoke now. Here we go. Boom. Audio. Y'all hearing it this time. Okay. Y'all write in the chat. We hear that, Uda. Boom.
If somebody is shooting the victim, they need to be over there.
Under a memorial tent.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me. Dispatch 443. I got the suspect and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right. Any weapons on you like that? I'll look here.
How long? He put his hands up. I know I'm not.
4-4, copy, I'll be in route.
Help me, y'all back up a little bit. Come over here for me. Go over here.
447, clear.
I'm gonna put your handcuffs for now, okay? Dispatch 443. Everybody can slow down. I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained.
Everyone else can slow down. Suspects detained in handcuffs.
Hold on. You can open up the channel, and medics are clear to come in. Have them come to the.
Karmelo already told them I'm protecting myself. We have 1 minute and 12 seconds. Do you want to go back and make sure we hear that again? Let's go back.
Hold on.
I'm just protecting myself.
Do you hear it?
Hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
Hey, officer, I was just protecting myself. Look again.
Hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
If somebody is treating the victim, then
Hey, officer, I was just protecting myself. Yeah, I heard it clear. Cool. Let's move back to 112 where I just was. He on the floor. You don't get to hear him say I'm not alleged because of the body. The CB radio is bleeping and all this shit, so you don't get to hear it. Look.
east entrance. There's gonna be a gate that's wide open there, and then you come to the victim from there.
Received.
This is the alleged suspect. All right.
Dispatch is 432. Put your hands up. Stand up.
Okay. What's right there?
See?
So nothing on your person at all. Nothing.
Karmelo says something to him, but we can't hear it. We're going to hear it on the next body cam footage that I play. Let's let this play out.
Mind if I reach in your pocket and stuff and all that? Nothing stabbing him?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm going to be out with this. Racing.
I'm gonna a little personal there, okay? Just to make sure. Okay. All right. The victim's going to be underneath that tent over there, so I'll get medics. Memorial tent over there, guys. All right.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now? Victim is over here on the north end. They got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. Already? No. We searched them. Got nothing on him.
I don't know what happened.
423. Trackers have negative CBR progress for a little bit.
Walks Karmelo to the front, processing him. Karmelo said, "Can you please pull my pants up?"
It's up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Let me do one more little check of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind if I reach in your pockets, anything like that? You good?
You're just wearing the one pair of pants?
I'm wearing some little under.
Well, yeah. But
Yeah,
it's not
like
pockets, it's your
no
own
ma'am, I
pockets.
don't think so.
What's your name, man?
Carmelo Anthony, Karmelo.
430, show me out.
Okay.
Racing.
Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy. What's it?
Remember, when I showed you the footage, we see the photo of him with his hands behind his back. He has the blood on the DNA on his finger, but in the court, they said that Karmelo nicked his finger, so I don't believe that's Alston's DNA. But we can see where he takes that picture at because he tells Karmelo, "Don't lean back, sit forward for me," right? Look.
See what? Lean this way, so you're not resting on your hands, okay? All right. See a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay? All right.
402, I won't see.
So your first name is Karmelo? Let's see. Hold on one second. I don't know yet, man. Karmelo, C-A-R-A.
Karmelo asked him, "Is he going to be okay?" He said, "I don't know yet." Right? Let's go back a second. Right? Listen.
Let's see. Hold on one second. I don't know yet, man. Karmelo, C-A-R-A.
K-A-R.
K-A-R.
M-E-L-O.
M-E-L-O. Karmelo. What's your last name? A-N-T-H-O-N-Y. We're ready. You win.
I'm in 12th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade.
12th grade?
Yes.
Okay. North Centennial. All right, sit tight for me real quick, buddy, all right?
That's the end of that body cam footage, right? Boom. So let's get that up out of here. Remove that, right? Let's get to the next one because we still got to play one more body cam footage where you're going to hear him say what he said. And then we're just going to play his 2 911 calls. But the first one is from Mason or whatever. It says Mason phone call. We're going to play that for you, right? Cool. So let me just bring it up in the file. 911. I mean, the other body cam footage, because that's when you hear him say exactly what he says, right? Where's the body cam footage? Body cam. All right, cool, right there. Okay, this is Richie, the female cop, Richie, body cam footage. Okay, cool. Let me share it first to you. Put the audio on. Cool. Share. Boom. Wait. Hold up. Wait. Where's that? Hold on, man, my bad. Let me remove this. Hold up. Let me get this out of here. Why is it not stopping? Stop sharing. Okay, let me get this one out the way. Let me bring this one back. Hold up. Got y'all right now. Wait. Boom. Let me share this to y'all. Share window. This is Richie body cam. Put the audio on. Boom. Bang.
The alleged suspect.
Okay. No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged.
We'll be there in a minute.
I am not alleged. I know how it go, right? Let's play it one more time. It's only 17 seconds. Try it one more time, right?
This is the alleged suspect.
Okay. No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged.
We'll be there in a minute.
He says, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I'm the one that did it. That's what he says, right? What is it? It's a whole nother question that the defense gotta talk for you. It and these vague ass words. What did you do? You could have been trying to do something. Somebody tried to poke you and something else poked him. We don't know. But his defense, they did a lackluster job. That's point blank period, regardless of what side of the fence you're sitting on. And this is not an echo chamber. You can have your own thoughts here. Everybody could feel what they want to feel. You can have your own opinion on Earth. This is Earth, sir. Feel what you want to feel. Okay? I'm just getting to the facts. So boom now. So now I want to show y'all the 911 call. Let me just at least get to that, and we can at least get some 911 call on the thing. So now listen to this audio, and you're also going to hear somebody come and say, Austin made a move. Look. Boom. Let me share it. Share it to you. Make sure I put the sound on. Hold up. Sound on. Let's go.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who stabbed him?
We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description of the person that stabbed him.
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie. He was black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and gone.
Okay, what did he stab your friend with?
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay. Where was he stabbed at?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person that stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
There's adults on him, I think. Yeah.
There's adults that are trying to keep him there?
Know who he is. Sorry, what?
The person that stabbed your friend, is he still there?
Yeah, he's still here.
Okay, and
He's with the coach.
There's a coach with him?
Yes, he's with people got him.
Okay. Do you know if he still has the weapon on him?
No clue, but he's like he can't do nothing. He's done.
What do you mean?
He stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. What?
What do you mean he can't do anything? What's going on with him?
Like, I mean, like, coaches have him, he can't hurt anyone.
Okay, when you say they have him, are they physically holding him down?
No, like, they're just holding him walking around.
Okay.
Okay. He was under our seat. Austin tried to make a move. Okay. He was under our seat. Austin tried to make a move.
Okay. What's your...
Our seat. Austin tried to make a move. Around.
Okay.
Okay. He was under our seat. Austin tried to make a move.
Okay. What's your name?
Mason Nordyke.
What's your last name?
Austin tried to make a move, right?
Nathan. What's your last name?
Nordyke.
Okay. And do you see any of the responders there yet?
We hear the sirens, but
Okay. Just
coach is gonna stop.
okay. So you're going to get on a bus right now? Okay. And the rest of the students are walking towards the buses?
Yeah, everyone's been evacuated.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being quick.
Okay. Just follow whatever directions you're being provided by either the officers or by your coaches, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect with you, Nathan, but we've got all kinds of help headed that way.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wait for it so we can know the time. Look, listen.
10:05 a.m. 54 seconds, April 2025.
Cool. So we see that it was 10:05. He's already saying, thank you for coming so quick. I can see them in the distance, or he can hear the responders already coming. So we already know that the responders came quick, but they couldn't save Austin. Okay. So we know that they testified certain time frames in court, but we know from certain body cam footage, we know from certain things like the 911 call that we could place the exact times of everything actually transpiring. Okay. And that's how we get into that there. All right. And this is what this is about, bro. This is what this is about, bro. You know what I mean? I'm going to do another video, another breakdown on some other stuff too, going through the docket as well. Again, I'm waiting for the transcripts. I've been in contact with the court reporters. They said we have to wait for the appellate procedure. Then the transcripts will be available, and they'll let me know exactly how much I have to pay to acquire those transcripts. Until we get to those transcripts, hey, Lisa, Belzo, salute to you, Queen. So, I mean, and when we get to that, we can start to ironing out some of these misinformations that's running around online, be it the time that Karmelo came, be it the time that Austin came, because they said they arrived within 2 minutes of each other. One arrived at 9:54, one arrived at 9:56. All right. And we can start to iron out some of these details, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of misinformation that's just running around online. You know, if y'all need this evidence as well, all you got to do is hit me on the gram or something. I'll send you the link to it, and you can actually see like Austin's wound and other things like that. Because I didn't show like four of the remaining photos, because as I scroll down on my last photo from the prosecution that I showed here, that is the next picture. So I always stop there, you know what I mean? Pay respects to the dead, all of those things like that. You know what I mean? Plus YouTube, they get you up out of here. If you play my prerogative, they try to get you up out of here. So I just gonna be showing that, you know what I mean? But salute to y'all, man. Salute to everybody that's rocking out with us, man, rocking out. I'm gonna do another live later, most likely, and we could get to some other stuff. I got some attorneys that should be coming on the channel soon, coming to talk to me about some of this and kind of break down legally what's going on. That's why I brought that video today, which went into the evidence, how evidence disappears, what kind of evidence, Brady materials, different things like that. Did the prosecution submit all evidences? Did the defense even ask to acquire certain evidences as well? And when we can understand things legally, this can strengthen any argument, whether you're on this side or that side of the argument, but it gets to strengthen our arguments when we understand exactly what we're actually talking about, be it online, be it to our peers, be it outside. We get to strengthen any of our arguments. So that's what this is all about here. So it's not about opinions. Again, I don't believe in echo chambers. Everybody's able to have their own opinion and their own thoughts on all of this. All right. Salute to all of y'all.
Before you leave,
salute to my girl. I gotta go. On the beach. I gotta go. Uda's been here all day. You came in the fourth quarter. You came in the fourth quarter. I got World Cups, all type of shit going on. You but what you want to say?
I was trying to see what you thought about it, but okay, well, you can end the show, but I want to show you.
You can do another video.
But I want to show, like, I'm gonna stay in the back and I want to show you I want to get you what your thought about this.
Thought about what? Share it real quick. What? Let me see. Oh, let me move this real quick. What's that?
I'm not gonna play the actual audio, but
what?
So
I just explained that, bro. They move in, looking like headlocks, looking like people breaking up. I done explained all of that on this video.
So do you think that that's a real thing? Do you think that could be true?
I think it's all possible and plausible. It's possible. It's all possibilities. It's endless possibilities. We see his head snap back. We see him move forward. We see things happening, and just so happened the footage that they gave to us was the blurry footage, man. Shout out to my boy Freezy here outside. Yeah, man,
But here's another question though. Did you also see the footage where have you noticed that it was like a cut and then all of a sudden he's at the top of the bleachers? It's like, how fast can a person break away and get to the top of the bleachers like that when all that going on? Like it seemed like it, I'm not sure. I wanted to talk about the fact that okay, with all that going on, all of a sudden he just pops up at the top, like he doesn't.
Got up out of there. Got up on the good.
But you don't see the trail of him running to the top, like.
No, the footage is blurry, so we can all speculate and guesstimate. Hopefully, we get something clearer. Hopefully, they get to some damn cell phone footage and we can see exactly what happened from inside the tent. I think that's our best speculation on some of that. It looks a lot of things look funny, so you know what I mean. I can't argue with none of those facts. I can't.
I don't know. Okay, but I'm gonna show you some other stuff in the back because I want to show you.
We can do another live. I'm doing another live in a minute. I'm just about to leave out my podcasting space and I'm about to go and situate myself. I ain't eating nothing, all type of stuff. So we're gonna situate and we're gonna get to the stuff and see what it is. We can even do a video, man. It's all good. I come jump on your channel with you too as well, Genesis. I'm here for you, sister.
Right, I appreciate you. Because to me, I'm like, there's a lot of things that's really left. I'm like, what? There's a lot of weird stuff going on. I don't know what.
Weird, bro. It's weird. This whole situation is weird, man. But what ain't come out in the wash gonna come out in the rinse, man. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely salute to Genesis. Most definitely rocking with us, man. I appreciate you, Queen. Most definitely appreciate the Queen. Love the Queen. Love y'all. Love everybody. Salute to everybody that's supporting the whole vibe. Salute on go. Make sure y'all all subscribe to the channel. I got some conversations with some great people coming on. All of the people that you're watching on YouTube, I can bring them all to the channel. Be it me, be it Queen Sheba, Freezy, anybody. You know what I'm saying? I talk with everybody behind the scenes. So I try to update everybody and give everybody the information that I get as I get it. You know what I mean? So that's the type of person I am. So it's just all about us getting to the facts, man. It ain't about nothing else besides that. It ain't about our own mind. And again, this ain't an echo chamber. Everybody's open to have their own thoughts, their own opinions. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we are respectful about how we go about all our opinions. But any of our thoughts could be put on the board, man. We put it all on the board and we just try to talk about it. That's all we could do. That's why I try to bring some legal analysts and some defense attorneys and people like that, and attorneys, period. And maybe even some ex-prosecutors and people like that that can talk to us about the mindset of the defense, the mindset of the prosecution, and things like that. I've been in contact with Karmelo's new team, Gary Bledsoe, Brooke Clues, and Russell Wilson II. I'm not going to say which person I was actually in contact with, but I did reach out to one of them. So, yeah, man, I'm just trying to stay up on top of this case and try to get y'all the information that I could get y'all as soon as I get it for y'all. So I'm waiting on the transcripts. When I get that, we'll get that. So I appreciate everybody for rocking out. Make sure y'all subscribe, share, hype this video, like this video, and do all the things that we need to do, man. Uda, 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 always on go. Shout out to my girl, DJ Genesis, for popping up with me too, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to my sis as well. Uda, shooter.
All my niggas from the Uda, all my niggas turn shooters. Uda, all my ops turn racks, all my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat, you been stuck in a computer. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas from the Uda, all my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks, all my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat, you been stuck in a computer.